Chapter 230. In less than 10 minutes, Xiaodong had finished packing her suitcase. She dragged the huge suitcase to the door without even looking at Bailey Han. The suitcase was very heavy, and it was very difficult for her to go down the stairs. She was already panting from exhaustion when she was only halfway down the stairs. Ever since she became pregnant, she lacked exercise and her physical fitness was not as good as before.
"Eldest young madam, what are you doing?"
The butler saw Xiaodong holding the big suitcase and was very anxious. He ran up to her and snatched the suitcase from her hands.
"How can you hold such a heavy thing?"
Xiaodong smiled. "Butler, I want to stay at my aunt's house for 2 days.
"I'll have to trouble you to take care of Xiao Bao and the other 2 little guys."
The butler was shocked. To put it nicely, she was going back to her mother's house. To put it bluntly, she was running away from home. He did not hear their conversation in the living room just now, so he naturally did not know that Bailey Han's memory was messed up again. He thought that the 2 of them were at loggerheads and hurriedly tried to persuade them. Eldest young madam, husband and wife quarrel at the head of the bed, but make up at the end. Eldest young master has a bad temper, so if he said anything that made you unhappy, please forgive him. Xiaodong smiled bitterly. Butler, I appreciate your kindness, but the matter between us is not that simple. Please tell old madam that I'm going back to my mother's house for 2 days. I'll find time to come back and see the children. She lifted the suitcase, but the old butler held it tightly and said, Eldest young madam, don't be anxious. Why don't you tell old madam not to leave? Xiaodong thought for a moment. If she just left like this, old madam might misunderstand. It was indeed safer to go upstairs and tell her. It was all her fault for being muddle-headed. The butler helped her to take the suitcase to the corridor and said, Eldest young madam, leave the suitcase here first. I'll take it down when you come down. Xiaodong said her thoughts in front of old madam. Grandma, I want to go back to my mother's house for 2 days. The old madam thought for a moment and said, Did Ahon say something? Xiaodong was already very tired and didn't want to explain any more, so she said, He's a little emotional right now. I want to wait for him to calm down. Maybe he'll be back to normal in 2 days. I'll come back then. Old madam sighed. All right, but you have to explain to your aunt and uncle properly. Don't let them misunderstand, understand? I understand. I won't let them worry. I'm not worried about Grandma, Xiao Bao, and Xiao Yi, but I'll have to trouble you to take care of Xiao Guai. The old madam nodded. Don't worry. I'll comfort the 3 children. As for Xiao Guai, I'll be careful. I won't let her get hurt. The old madam thought for a moment and said, Do you want me to send you back?
No need, Grandma.
I can go back by myself. Then take care of yourself. You're not alone now. Don't think too much. When Ahon recovers, I'll ask him to come and pick you up.
Got it, Grandma. The old madam was very thoughtful.
She asked the housekeeper to take 2 gift boxes and put them in Xiaodong's car. You can't go home empty-handed. These gifts are for your aunt and uncle. Thank you, Grandma. Since Xiaodong said that she was going back to her parents' home, she had to accept the old madam's kindness. The housekeeper helped Xiaodong carry her suitcase downstairs. She stood in the empty living room and looked back at the staircase. She saw Bailey Han slowly walking down the stairs. His handsome face was cold and there was no warmth in his eyes. Xiaodong gritted her teeth and turned around. His cold voice came from behind her. Sign the divorce agreement and you can go. She looked at him waving the document in his hand and her body stiffened. She didn't expect him to have prepared the divorce agreement in such a short time. No, I can't sign it today. Xiaodong ignored him and walked out. The housekeeper hurried to catch up with her suitcase. He was afraid that Bailey Han would catch up and force Xiaodong to sign it. The 2 of them, together with 1 suitcase, hurried to the garage. When Xiaodong drove past the gate, she saw Bailey Han standing there like a stone statue. He looked at her expressionlessly as she drove further and further away. He didn't say anything to stop her. The white BMW soon disappeared from the manor. Bailey Han's fingers tightened, and he crumpled the divorce agreement into a ball and threw it into the trash can. It didn't matter if she didn't want to sign it. He had a way to make her sign it. Mommy. Xiao Guai was still in a daze. He crawled out of bed and rubbed his sleepy eyes with his little hands. He wiggled his little butt and walked out of the room, planning to go downstairs to find his mommy. She hadn't fully woken up and her little head was still a little dizzy.
She covered her mouth with her little hand and yawned.
She didn't pay attention to the front and accidentally bumped into a pair of long legs. Bailey Han was bumped into by a little girl wearing Pikachu pajamas. He looked down at the little ball beside his legs and frowned slightly. Xiao Guai raised her head and rubbed her aching forehead. She blinked her big watery eyes and said in a childish voice, "Daddy, didn't you go to the office today?" Bailey Han looked at her. Her cheeks were fair and tender, and her hair was adorably curly, but her hair was a little sparse. She lifted her little face and pouted cutely. Her soft little hands hugged his leg. "Daddy, you squatted down. My neck is so tired from looking at you like this." Her soft call of "Daddy" seemed to have crashed into his heart. He felt a warm current pass through his heart, and it was an indescribable feeling. He actually squatted down obediently and placed his hands on her delicate shoulders. He asked gently, "What's your name?" Xiao Guai pouted unhappily. "Daddy, you're so strange today." "I'm Gigai." "You're Gigai." Bailey Han smiled faintly. "Do you want me to hug you?" The dissatisfaction on Xiao Guai's face immediately disappeared. She smiled and nodded. "Okay, I want Daddy to hug me." Bailey Han picked her up. Her soft little body was very light. To Bailey Han, she was like a feather. He frowned. "Gigai, why are you so light? Did you not eat properly?" Xiao Guai hugged his neck with both hands and puffed up her cheeks. "No, I eat properly. It's just that I'm always sick. That's why I'm so light." "Always sick?" Bailey Han looked at her carefully and realized that her face was indeed sickly pale. Her hair was also excessively thin. He couldn't help but feel a faint sense of pity. "What illness does Gigai have?" Xiao Guai's big eyes blinked. "I don't know. But I have to go to the hospital for chemotherapy every few days. The smell of medicine in the hospital is terrible." She fanned her little hand in front of her nose and stuck out her tongue exaggeratedly. She looked extremely cute. Bailey Han's heart sank. Chemotherapy. Only very serious illnesses required chemotherapy. What illness did Gigai have? He suddenly remembered that Xiaodong was very worried about the baby just now. She even said that the baby was very important. It was related to what? Was it about Xiao Guai? His mind was a mess. All the information rushed out and messed up in his mind. There were only a few words. He wanted to straighten it out, but he didn't know where to start. There seemed to be a blurry image flashing past. What was it? Bailey Han tried his best to grab hold of it. He was like a person who had fallen into a fog and suddenly saw a light. He rushed towards the light like the wind. Suddenly, there was a loud bang and his head started to hurt. "Daddy, what's wrong?" Xiao Guai saw that Bailey Han's expression was not right. He frowned in pain and cried out anxiously, "Daddy, where are you feeling unwell?" Bailey Han was in so much pain that his vision turned black. However, he knew that he couldn't fall down now. He was still holding Gigai in his arms. He resisted the intense dizziness, bent down, and put Xiao Guai on the ground. Then he fell down. "Daddy, Daddy," sob, "someone come, Daddy fainted." Xiao Guai was so scared that she started to cry. She shook Bailey Han's arm and shouted for help. When the servants heard her scream, they hurriedly ran upstairs. When they saw this scene, they were shocked and quickly called the others. Some were busy calling Su Zhe, some ran upstairs to report to the old madam and Bai Jinxiu, and some helped Bailey Han up from the ground and sent him back to his room. Old madam hurried downstairs with Bai Jinxiu's help. When she saw Xiao Guai crying, she held Xiao Guai up with heartache and said gently, "Gigai, don't cry. Your daddy is fine. He'll get better soon." Xiao Guai's eyes were filled with tears. "Great-grandma, is Daddy really okay?" "Yes, trust me. He'll be fine. Your daddy is just too tired, so he needs to rest. Gigai, be good. Go out and play with Aunt Jing, okay?" Xiao Guai was very sensible. "Okay, Daddy needs to rest. Gigai won't disturb him." Bailey Jing picked up this sensible Xiao Bao with pity and rubbed her cheek. "Gigai, don't cry. Aunt Jing will tell you a story." Su Zhe listened to Old Madam briefly talk about Bailey Han's situation and said, "Old Madam, Ah Han's situation is getting worse. You have to make a decision as soon as possible.
Other than sighing, old madam didn't know what to say.
Xiaodong was worried that her aunt and the others would be worried, so she didn't go to their house. Instead, she drove the car to the neighborhood where she used to live. It took her a lot of effort to move her suitcase upstairs. The furniture in the room was all covered with white cloth. After lifting it, there wasn't much dust. She spent more than an hour cleaning the room and another half an hour arranging the clothes in the wardrobe. Then, she drove to the nearby supermarket to shop. In short, she didn't allow herself to be idle. She didn't want to let her imagination run wild when she was idle. She carried 2 big shopping bags upstairs. As soon as she entered the elevator, she ran into her former neighbor, Sister Wang. Sister Wang greeted her warmly. "Aya, Xiaoqi, why are you back?" Add Xinwu 799. Chapter 231. Xiaodong smiled. "I came back to take a look at the apartment." Sister Wang glanced at the bag she was carrying. "Why did you buy so many things?" Xiaodong ran her fingers through her hair. "I want to stay here for a couple of days." "Did you have a fight with your husband?"
Xiaodong pursed her lips and did not deny it.
"There's no overnight feud between husband and wife. Don't run away from home so easily after a fight. It will hurt your relationship as a couple."
Sister Wang patted her shoulder and comforted her.
"You should hurry back. Your husband might be looking for you right now."
Xiaodong smiled.
"Thank you, Sister Wang. I'll remember that. I'm here. I'll get going first. Come down and play when you have time." She walked out of the elevator with the bags and took out the keys from her handbag. When she opened the door, she felt a little upset when she saw the empty room. Xiaodong had prepared a sumptuous dinner, but she had no appetite at all when faced with a table full of dishes. She put down her chopsticks and walked to the window unconsciously, wanting to see that familiar figure. There were cars driving in from the neighborhood downstairs. They were all people returning home after work, but there was no Rolls-Royce. She was about to leave when she saw a Lamborghini drive from the entrance of the neighborhood to the building downstairs. No one in the neighborhood owned such a flashy car. It was Bailey Yun. Her guess was right. 2 minutes later, a handsome figure stepped out of the car. His handsome appearance, elegant temperament, and luxurious and elegant outfit immediately attracted everyone's attention. He was like a celebrity who was the center of attention as he walked calmly into the building Xiaodong lived in. A few minutes later, Xiaodong looked at Bailey Yun who was standing at the door. She smiled and asked, "Why are you here?" Bailey Yun's beautiful foxy eyes twitched slightly. He said calmly, "Aren't you going to invite me in? Please come in." Xiaodong invited him in. Bailey Yun put his hands in his pockets and glanced around the dining room. "You haven't eaten yet?" "I was just about to eat." "Have you eaten?" Xiaodong poured him a glass of water. "Not yet. If you don't mind, I want to eat with you." In fact, he was lying. He had already eaten dinner. "Of course I don't mind. Sit down first, I'll go get the rice." Xiaodong went to the kitchen, took a clean bowl and chopsticks, and served him a bowl of rice. Bailey Yun had changed. In the past, he would smile brightly and talk nonsense with her. Now, he was sitting in the chair, his handsome face expressionless. He was indifferent and calm, just like the second Bailey Han. The atmosphere was a little heavy. The two of them ate slowly, barely speaking. After dinner, Xiaodong cleaned up the dishes. Bailey Yun stopped her. "Let me do it. You're a guest. How can I let you clean up?" His entire aura had changed, and Xiaodong couldn't help but be polite to him. He looked at her with his slender eyes. Even though he had an extremely beautiful face, it still couldn't hide the frightening coldness. "Now, have I become a stranger to you?" She was stunned for a moment, then smiled at him. "No." "Then let go." His voice was cold, and his gaze was icy. Xiaodong almost thought that the person standing in front of her was Bailey Han. She retracted her hand stiffly. "Then I'll have to trouble you." Bailey Yun put on an apron and washed the pots and pans in the kitchen. The clanking sounds were like a happy melody. The two of them sat on the sofa and ate fruits. Bailey Yun suddenly said, "I heard." She looked at him in confusion. "What?" His beautiful fox-like eyes were gloomy. About you and Bailey Han quarreling and getting a divorce.
Other than the few days when he first returned to the country, when he stayed at the Gu mansion, he had moved back to his own place.
He had gone to the Gu mansion just now to say goodbye to his family and planned to return to America. He didn't expect to hear that Xia Dong had moved back. She smiled awkwardly. Actually, it's not that serious. There's only a temporary problem between us. It'll be fine soon. He sneered. He's already treated you like that. Are you still unwilling to give up? He didn't do it on purpose. He paused and said, I'm going back to America tomorrow. Are you willing to go with me? She looked into his eyes seriously. Ah Yun, I'm already your sister-in-law. This is a fact that will never change.
His eyes were faintly cold, and his words were icy.
Even if Bailey Han wants to divorce you, you won't give up on him? I won't. I believe that he'll get better.
These words were not only directed at him, but also to encourage herself.
I understand. Bailey Yun got up and walked towards the door. With his back facing her, he said coldly, The last time I left, you didn't come to send me off. This time, you don't have to send me off either. Ah Yun. Xia Dong followed behind him and chased him to the elevator.
Ah Yun, have a safe trip.
The elevator door slowly closed. Bailey Yun thought that after experiencing heart-wrenching pain once, he would be able to let her go. However, when he really stood in front of her, he still couldn't suppress the strong desire to snatch her away. He could only use coldness to wrap himself up and hide his true thoughts. Sitting in the car, he leaned back against the seat and looked at himself in the mirror. His heart was filled with disgust. No matter how hard he worked, he couldn't compare to Bailey Han. He stepped on the accelerator and the Lamborghini sped toward the charm club. Xia Dong was the only one left in the empty room. She looked at the clock. Xiao Bao and Xiao Yi should have already returned home. If they found out that she wasn't around, would they be worried? Just as her thoughts were running wild, her phone suddenly rang. It was Xiao Bao's voice.
Mom, why did you suddenly move back?
The children didn't know that there was a foreign object in Bailey Han's brain. Xia Dong still hid it from them. She smiled and said, I just came to take a look at the old house. I'll be back in 2 days. Xiao Bao snorted. Mom, I already said that I'm not a 3-year-old child.
Don't lie to me anymore. Dad suddenly fainted again and hasn't woken up yet.
Is it related to Dad? What are you hiding from us? Xia Dong's heart tightened. Baby, how's your daddy now? Xiao Bao sighed. He hasn't woken up yet.
Anyway, I've asked great-grandma and grandma, but they won't tell me what happened to Dad.
Xiao Yi's voice suddenly came from the other end of the line. I want to talk to Mommy too.
Xiao Bao said unhappily, I haven't finished speaking.
Wait a moment. Xia Dong rubbed her brows and said gently, Don't fight over it. Take your time. Xiao Yi's voice came from the other end. Mommy, are you used to living there alone? Do you want the servants to come over and take care of you? Xia Dong's heart softened. No need. Mommy can take care of myself. Xiao Yi, you're the older brother. You have to take care of your younger siblings, okay? Okay, Mommy. I know. Xia Dong successfully changed the topic to the 2 little guys' studies. She didn't answer their questions. The 3 of them chatted for nearly half an hour. She urged them to go to bed early before they reluctantly hung up the phone. Lying in bed, she couldn't fall asleep for a long time. Her mind kept thinking about Bailey Han. He fainted again. Did that mean his condition had worsened? She finally fell asleep after midnight. Just as she fell asleep, she was woken up by the ringtone of her phone. It was Bailey Han. She quickly answered the call. She heard 2 words. Open the door. She opened the door in her pajamas. Bailey Han stood in front of her with a dark face. The hair on his forehead was wet with sweat. He was wearing a white shirt and his suit jacket was draped over his arm. His chest rose and fell rapidly as he panted heavily. He seemed to be in a hurry.
He looked at her with a dark face and stared at her coldly.
The trace of anticipation in her heart disappeared. She twisted her fingers together and smiled self-deprecatingly. Are you here to ask me to sign the divorce agreement? Actually, you don't have to come in the middle of the night. I won't run away.
Before she could finish speaking, he suddenly pulled her into his arms. He buried his head in her neck.
Why did you leave?
Xiaodong didn't dare to raise her head or speak.
She was afraid that she was still dreaming. She only hugged his waist tightly and felt his strong heartbeat.
He cupped her face and stared into her eyes.
He looked emotional. I woke up and suddenly realized that you were gone. I was about to go crazy. How could you leave me alone?
Xiaodong's nose twitched and tears almost fell.
She tried her best to hold them back. I'm sorry. I just wanted to come back and take a look.
I was about to go crazy. He pulled her into his arms again.
Tell me what happened. What do you mean by the divorce agreement you mentioned just now?
She bit her lip and tried to calm herself down. She patted his back with her right hand.
Hubby, your clothes are wet with sweat. Come in first and we can talk slowly.
Bailey Han went to the bathroom to take a shower.
Xiaodong looked for a long time but couldn't find any suitable clothes for him.
She could only hang the bath towel on the bathroom door handle.
Hubby, I don't have any clothes for you. You can use the bath towel first. I'll go to the supermarket in the neighborhood to buy some clothes for you.
No need.
Bailey Han's deep voice came from the bathroom. It's not safe at this time of the night.
Xiaodong scratched her head.
It's very close. It's okay.
She didn't wait for his reply.
She changed her shoes, took her wallet and keys, and hurried downstairs.
When Bailey Han came out of the bathroom, she was already gone.
He was worried about her. He still clearly remembered that the elevator in this building had broken down. He only hesitated for a second.
Then he wrapped a bath towel around his waist, locked the door, and took the elevator downstairs to wait for her.
Xiaodong walked into the corridor with shopping bags. The first thing she saw was a naked upper body. She screamed in fear. Honey, it's me.
Why did you come down dressed like this?
Xiaodong blushed and quickly pushed him into the elevator. Attention, Song Shu 566. Chapter 232. His expression was calm. It's early in the morning. No one will see. Xiaodong was both embarrassed and angry. Please, there are surveillance cameras in this building. Many people will see you like this. They will definitely think you're an exhibitionist. If she guessed correctly, he was definitely not wearing anything under the towel. Because he was a clean freak, he would rather die than wear the underwear that he had just changed out of. They won't dare to say anything, Bailey Han said indifferently, as if he was not the perverted exhibitionist in the surveillance cameras. Xiaodong held her forehead with one hand. She did not want to make any more comments. How can my face be more important than your safety? He turned to look at her. His tone was still indifferent, but it was deeply imprinted in her heart. She held his hand and interlocked their fingers. No matter how many difficulties there were in the future, she would stand shoulder to shoulder with him and bear them together. Xiaodong bought a set of men's pajamas with long sleeves and trousers. After all, it was already October and the weather was already cold. She took out a shirt from the shopping bag. Put it on. Don't catch a cold. Bailey Han put on his shirt in the elevator. He still had a towel wrapped around his waist. It looked a little funny, but he did not mind at all. Xiaodong did not think much of it. In her eyes, no matter what he looked like, he would always be the handsome and charming Bailey Han. When she fell asleep, he hugged her in his arms and said softly, "Honey, we'll go home tomorrow." Okay. She leaned comfortably in his arms. You still haven't told me what happened. He did not understand why he fainted at home. When he woke up, he could not remember what had happened. He did not even know why he fainted. Xiaodong closed her eyes and said softly, "Hubby, I'm so sleepy. We'll talk about it later, okay?" He kissed her forehead helplessly. Okay, go to sleep. Xiaodong breathed a sigh of relief. No matter what, she had to delay it for as long as possible. Maybe tomorrow, he would forget about it. However, Bailey Han was very persistent and didn't forget about it at all. During breakfast, he asked again. Xiaodong evaded his question. Han, did you tell your family that you came out last night? They must be very anxious.
The butler saw me when I went out.
Bailey Han wiped her lips with a tissue. Don't change the subject, honey. Just answer my question. Xiaodong laughed dryly and said half-truthfully, Actually, it's nothing much. Didn't you get into a car accident before? I heard from the doctor that it's just a little, really just a little, sequela. You will occasionally have headaches, and when the headaches are severe, you may faint. When you wake up, you will forget what happened that day. He looked at her suspiciously. Is that really all? She hurriedly promised. Really, I'm not lying to you. His eyes narrowed. Then what about the divorce agreement? Xia Dong stared at him innocently. You really don't remember? You were the one who suggested it. If I remembered, why would I ask you? Bailey Han pinched his forehead. Because of Su Yunqian, we quarreled yesterday. In a fit of anger, you said you wanted a divorce and even prepared the divorce agreement. I brought it up to calm you down. Why did we quarrel? Bailey Han had no recollection of what she said. Did I really ask for a divorce? Because I wasn't happy that you went to visit Su Yunqian. In order to hide the truth, Xia Dong took the blame for the quarrel and lied as if it was true. You felt guilty towards her, so you went to visit her often. I was worried that you would fall in love with her again. You were very angry at that time, so you asked for a divorce. No, that's impossible. No matter how angry I was, I couldn't have asked for a divorce. Bailey Han couldn't believe that he would say such a thing. But you said it. You also said that I couldn't take the 3 children away. She thought of the grievances she had suffered yesterday and didn't need to pretend at all. Tears welled up in her eyes. Seeing her sad tears, Bailey Han immediately panicked. He couldn't care less about the loopholes in her words. He walked to her side and hugged her. I'm sorry, wifey. I really don't remember. Forgive me for saying such disgraceful things. She looked up at him with teary eyes. You're not getting a divorce? He looked annoyed. Don't talk about divorce again. I'm about to die from regret. How could I be so foolish to say such things? Her eyes were brimming with tears and her expression was extremely pitiful. You really didn't do it on purpose? I swear, I definitely didn't do it on purpose. A certain someone hadn't realized that his attention had been diverted again. Who asked him to feel sorry for his wife. She said aggrievedly, All right then, I forgive you. If you talk about divorce again, I'll run away from home again. Don't talk about divorce again. He looked flustered and exasperated as he spoke through gritted teeth. She buried her face in his chest and her lips curled into a mischievous smile. Wifey, even if I visit Yunqian often, I won't have any other thoughts. You have to believe me. Right now, I just want to grow old with you. He thought that she had really quarreled with him because of this matter, so he comforted her in a low voice. She hugged him tightly. Okay, I know. I won't misunderstand you in the future. Good girl. He gently stroked her hair. I'll help you pack up. We'll go home now. She obediently agreed. The two of them cleaned up the kitchen together and started to pack up the big suitcase that Xia Dong had brought back. Bailey Han was afraid that she would overwork herself, so he let her sit by the bed and give instructions. He put all the things that she had placed outside back into the suitcase. Bailey Han put the suitcase into the trunk of her car and found that there were 2 gift boxes inside. He looked at Xia Dong in confusion. Xia Dong explained, I told Grandma yesterday that I was going back to my parents' house. Grandma prepared these gifts for me. He smiled. Since the gifts are prepared, let's go to your aunt's house. Ever since Su Yunqian's incident, he hadn't accompanied her back to her parents' house. It was time to visit the two of them. Xia Yun was originally worried that Bailey Han's feelings for Xia Dong would change because of Su Yunqian's kidnapping. Now that she saw the two of them coming to visit, she was extremely happy and couldn't stop smiling. She quickly called Gao Mingyuan and told him to go to the supermarket to buy groceries after class and come home early. After more than an hour, Gao Mingyuan came back with big and small bags. Xia Dong helped her aunt wash the vegetables and cook while Bailey Han played chess with her uncle. The family was happy and harmonious. Everything would have been perfect if that phone call hadn't happened. At the dining table, Bailey Han's phone rang. He glanced at the caller ID and said politely, Excuse me, I have to take a call. He took the phone and walked to the balcony. Auntie, what's the matter? Mrs. Su sighed. Han, I'm sorry to bother you. You didn't come to the hospital this morning and Yun Qian is throwing a tantrum. I want to ask you, when will you come over? Bailey Han glanced in the direction of the living room. I have something to do here, so I can't leave for now. I'll be there in the evening.
Bang! A loud sound came from the other end of the phone.
Bailey Han frowned.
Auntie, what's wrong?
Nothing. Nothing. Yun Qian threw a tantrum and flipped the chair over. Your uncle is in the ward trying to calm her down. Bailey Han pinched his forehead. She's very emotional now?
Yes, she's been nagging since this morning.
She's been waiting for you to come. She said that she wants you to take her to see the sunrise. After that, she cried and threw a tantrum. Now she refuses to eat. Sigh, she hasn't eaten since this morning. This child is really worrying me to death. Bailey Han tightened his grip on the phone and said in a deep voice. Auntie, don't worry. I'll be at the hospital in about an hour. Mrs. Su choked. Han, thank you so much. Bailey Han looked at the kind Xia Yun couple and Xia Dong, who was smiling brightly. He didn't know what to say. After dinner, Xia Dong helped her aunt clean up the dishes. He and his uncle sat on the sofa and chatted. During this time, he raised his hand to look at his watch. Gao Mingyuan smiled and said, Han, do you have something to do? If you do, hurry up and do it. Xia Yun's voice came from the kitchen. Yes, Han, it's good enough that Xia is with us. Go do your thing first. Bailey Han smiled apologetically. My friend has some problems and wants me to go over and help her deal with it. Then hurry up and go. Gao Mingyuan urged him. Don't let her wait for too long. Okay, uncle, auntie, I'll go first. Honey, stay here and chat with them. I'll come and pick you up in the evening. Bailey Han put on his coat. Xia nodded and pushed Xia Dong's arm. Xia Dong, go and see Han off. Xia Dong wiped her hands and followed Bailey Han out. When they reached the elevator, Bailey Han held her hand and said, Honey, I'm going to the hospital. There's something wrong with Yun Qian. You stay here and wait for me to pick you up. Xia Dong helped him adjust his collar and said, Okay, I'll wait for you. Be careful on the road. His eyes were full of smiles as he lowered his head and kissed her lips. When Bailey Han arrived at the hospital, the situation was very bad. Su Yunqian blocked the door of the ward and shouted that no one was allowed to enter. She also didn't allow the nurses to clean up the room. Su Bolin and his wife tried their best to persuade her, but she refused to listen. She locked the door and hid inside alone. Seeing Bailey Han coming over, Su Bolin and his wife looked as if they had seen their savior. They said, Han, please persuade Yunqian. Bailey Han knocked on the door. Yunqian, it's me. I'm here. Open the door and let me in. Su Yunqian's voice was a little hoarse. Who are you? I'm Bailey Han. She shouted hysterically. I don't believe it. You're not Han. You must be lying to me. Bailey Han said patiently. I'm not lying to you. If you don't believe me, open the door and take a look. Add Xinwu 799. Chapter 233. Su Yunqian didn't believe him and asked, What if you're lying to me? Bailey Han said in a low voice, If I'm lying to you, then close the door and don't let anyone in. She frowned and thought for a while. Then she said, Okay, I'm going to open the door. Stand back. Bailey Han took a few steps back, and Su Bolin and his wife also took a few steps back. The door opened with a click. Su Yunqian stood at the door with her hair disheveled. The room was in a mess. The food was spilled all over the floor, the chair was overturned, and the quilt on the bed was thrown to the ground. She looked at Bailey Han seriously and suddenly grinned. You're really Han. Bailey Han nodded. See, I didn't lie to you. She pouted. Why didn't you come to see me in the morning? Bailey Han pursed his lips and said, I'm sick. Su Yunqian approached him and put her hand on his forehead. She asked worriedly, Do you have a fever? Are you better now? He pulled her hand down and led her into the room. I'm better now. The room is very messy. Get someone to clean it up. Okay. Gigai followed behind him and sat on the sofa. The nurse hurried in to clean up. Su Yunqian had spilled a meal, so Su Bolin asked someone to buy a new one. It happened to be delivered. He put the food on the coffee table. Yunqian, you haven't eaten yet. Eat something first.
Han, I want you to feed me.
Su Yunqian stuffed the chopsticks into Bailey Han's hand and smiled like an innocent child. Bailey Han held the chopsticks stiffly. Mrs. Su hurriedly said, Yunqian, you're an adult. You have to eat by yourself. You can't let others feed you anymore. Su Yunqian burst into tears. But I just want Han to feed me. Otherwise I won't eat. Mrs. Su had a headache. Su Bolan sighed. Han, Yunqian is like a child now. Just treat her like Xiaojing. Father Su was right. He should just treat her like a child. Bailey Han took a tissue and wiped the tears off Su Yunqian's face.
He said softly, Don't cry.
Come, let's eat. He picked up her favorite dishes and fed them to her. She ate with relish and said with a smile, I want you to feed me in the future too. Bailey Han smirked. If you don't throw tantrums in Gigai in the future, I'll feed you.
She nodded heavily.
I won't lose my temper anymore.
I promise I'll come to see you every day, but not necessarily in the morning.
So, you're not allowed to lose your temper if you don't see me in the morning. Do you understand? All right, I'll remember that. Good girl. Bailey Han coaxed her in the way he coaxed a child. Su Bolan and his wife felt their hearts ache. At around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Bailey Yun took his small suitcase and embarked on his journey to New York. This time, it would be a long time before he returned. This time, only Bailey Xiong came to see him off. Bailey Xiong looked at his youngest son who was even taller than him.
His eyes couldn't help but moisten. He patted his shoulder and said, Yun, take good care of your body.
No matter what happens, you must remember that we will always be your family. I got it, Dad. Bailey Yun hugged his father. Dad, my mom has been with you for a lifetime. I hope you can treat her well.
I will.
Bailey Xiong was full of guilt towards Lu Xiaoxiao.
He kept satisfying her with material and money.
In the airport hall, a notice to remind passengers to board rang. Bailey Yun carried his suitcase, waved at Bailey Xiong, and turned around with a smile. Goodbye, City A. Goodbye, my love. Bailey Yun found his seat in the first-class cabin. After sitting down, he took out his earphones and stuffed them into his ears. Day I lost my love. It was so sad that it made people despair. A deep sense of helplessness enveloped him like a tide, pulling him into the abyss of despair, almost suffocating him. Suddenly, a hand patted his shoulder gently, as if pulling him out of the abyss. He slowly opened his eyes and looked up at the owner of the hand. A cute round face with a bright smile and eyes curved into beautiful crescents.
Her voice was sweet and pleasant.
Bailey Yun, we meet again. Bailey Yun was startled and took off his earphones. It's you, Li. Li Baobao. She smiled even more brightly.
No, it's Li Duobao.
She pointed at the dining car beside her. What kind of drink do you like? Apple juice. Seeing her round face and cute smile, he thought of a big red apple. Okay, please wait a moment. Li Duobao skillfully poured a glass of apple juice and placed it in front of him. Please enjoy. When Li Duobao pushed the dining car and was about to leave, Bailey Yun called out to her. Li Duobao, has the injury on your leg healed? She smiled. It's healed a long time ago.
When are you returning?
The day after tomorrow. Because it's a long flight, we can rest for a day. Bailey Yun took out a name card and handed it to her. This is my name card. If you're bored, you can call me. I'll take you around New York. Her beautiful face revealed a look of surprise. Bailey Yun raised his charming foxy eyes. Don't think too much. I'm just trying to make up for my mistake last time. Li Duobao patted her chest exaggeratedly. Then I'm relieved. Bailey Yun was angry and amused. Am I that uncharming? She smiled mischievously. It's because you're extremely charming that I'm worried. I'm afraid that I'll be charmed by you. Bailey Yun's eyes lit up. Just as he was about to say something, a guest in front called the stewardess. Li Duobao smiled embarrassedly. I have to work. Go ahead. In the subsequent flight, Li Duobao came to the first-class cabin a few more times. However, because they were busy, they didn't talk anymore. When the plane arrived at its destination, Li Duobao stood at the exit and bowed to the passengers. Bailey Yun deliberately walked at the back. When he passed by her, he said, Li Duobao, I've always wanted to ask you. Have you ever hated that senior who lied to you? Li Duobao was stunned for a moment before he realized what he was talking about. He smiled and said, I hated him very much at that time, but I didn't hate him anymore. I even thanked him.
If he hadn't told me the truth at that time and had only told me when I was in love with him for a long time, I would have been even sadder. Bai Liyun's eyes flickered as he pondered.
Li Duobao continued, we have to thank those who make us feel pain and despair. It's because we feel pain and despair that we start a new life. Bai Liyun chuckled.
I didn't expect you to say something so philosophical.
Xia Dong was so heartless to him. Did she want him to start a new life? She touched her nose embarrassedly. Actually, this sentence was said by Yu Yu. I stole it.
Bai Liyun's smile became even brighter.
No matter what, I have to thank you.
She blinked.
You're welcome.
I'm leaving.
Remember to call me whenever you want to visit New York.
He casually brushed the hair on his forehead, put on his sunglasses, and waved coolly.
Goodbye. Li Duobao bowed. Please take care. Xia Dong stayed at her aunt's house until 5 in the afternoon. Bai Lihan drove her home. When she got home, the children had also come back from kindergarten. When they saw Xia Dong, they swarmed over and hugged her legs as they cheered. They looked so happy that it was as if they had not seen each other for years. At night, the three little rascals were still in their room and refused to leave. Bai Lihan snorted on Xiao Bao's and Xiao Yi's heads. You two rascals, go back and rest. Don't stay here and steal my wife. Xiao Guai lay in Xia Dong's arms and giggled. Xiao Bao snorted. Dad, are you trying to steal Mom from us?
Xiao Yi was speechless.
Xiao Bao, let's admit defeat. We don't have a wife.
Xiao Bao blinked her large eyes.
Speaking of which, Xiao Yi, why don't we go back to our room and discuss what kind of wife we should marry in the future?
Xiao Yi nodded seriously.
This is a question worth discussing. Let's go back to our room.
The two little rascals looked like they were good brothers as they rolled back to their room with their arms around each other's shoulders.
Bai Lihan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He picked up his cute little daughter from Xia Dong's arms. Gigai, say good night to Mommy. Daddy will take you back to your room to rest. Xiao Guai waved her soft little hand and said good night with a smile.
He finally coaxed the three little rascals back to their room.
Bai Lihan hugged his dear wife contentedly.
He bit her earlobe and whispered, Honey, I missed you. Xia Dong deliberately pretended not to understand his hint and smiled brightly.
Hubby, you don't have to miss me. Look, I'm in your arms right now.
Bai Lihan bit her little ear hard.
Little rascal, you're deliberately twisting my meaning. I'm going to punish you. She shrunk her neck and laughed in his arms.
How are you going to punish me?
Do some exercises before bed. He nuzzled her neck and his hands sneaked under her clothes unruly. He caressed her breasts, which had become even more pink because of her pregnancy. Xia Dong avoided his mischievous hands and her cheeks were flushed red from shyness. But I'm already very tired.
Have you heard of a saying?
Bai Lihan quietly unbuttoned her bra from the back. His palms landed on the two soft areas and gently squeezed them. She couldn't help but moan softly. Her head tilted back, revealing her beautiful curves. She trembled for a while before she asked, What saying? He didn't stop and skillfully kneaded her breasts. He buried his head in her neck and chuckled. There's no land that's ruined by plowing, only cows that are exhausted to death. Xia Dong's cheeks were burning. She couldn't help but push him. You're so naughty. If I'm not naughty, how can I make you love me more? He said one sentence after another, which made her blush and her heart beat faster. But the child. Xia Dong worriedly placed her hand on her stomach. He gently bit her collarbone and whispered, I'll protect the child well, honey. Don't worry and leave you to me. She saw his scorching gaze, which was filled with tenderness and love. His forehead was already wet with sweat. Sweat slid down his naked upper body and muscular chest. She knew that he had endured for a long time. She also knew that he had strong self-control and wouldn't hurt her and the baby. Full of trust, she finally gave up her shyness. She reached out her arms and hugged his neck. Bai Lihan kissed Xia Dong's cheek. The tip of his tongue slid towards her earlobe. The numb feeling made her shiver uncontrollably. Hubby! Hubby! Xiaodong murmured uneasily. Her body moved impatiently, as if she was anticipating something. Her voice was different from usual. It was gentle and seductive. Her seductive gaze made Bailey Han's desire soar, almost shattering his rationality. He carried her onto the bed and placed his hands on both sides of her body, trying his best to keep a distance from her bulging belly. He lowered his head and sealed her soft lips with his thin lips domineeringly. He forcefully invaded her mouth and entangled his tongue with hers. Ah! Xiaodong felt like her body was a puddle of water, completely melting into his enchanting masculine scent. The strong attack made her almost unable to breathe. After being pregnant, her body was more sensitive than usual. At this moment, because of his kiss, her body had already ignited a flame, burning her rationality. Hubby. I feel so uncomfortable. Xiaodong's hair was already wet with sweat. Her black hair was scattered on the bright red bedsheets, looking incomparably beautiful. Her eyes were misty, her cheeks were flushed, and her lips were swollen from the kiss. It was both beautiful and beautiful. Bailey Han's eyes were deep, intertwined with deep desire. There was a charming smile on his handsome face. He leaned against her neck, enjoying her soft and boneless charm. As he kissed her, he whispered, "Wifey, don't worry. I'll make you feel good." Xiaodong closed her eyes shyly. Her body was tense and her white jade-like feet were trembling slightly. Her entire body was tinged with a faint pink. Bailey Han's hot hands continued to wander around her body. Suddenly, he pulled off the last piece of underwear on her body. He was worried about the baby, so every movement was very slow. The torturous feeling was simply maddening. His movements slowly increased. The scorching flames burned in her body, almost burning her to ashes. In the end, fireworks seemed to explode in her mind. Her vision was white as she lay on his chest, panting. Bailey Han hugged her gently and laid her flat beside him. After she rested for a while, he carried her into the bathroom. He carefully washed her with hot water and wiped her with a dry towel. During the entire process, Xiaodong kept her eyes closed and leaned in his arms. She was so tired that she couldn't even move her fingers. After he put on a bathrobe for her and carried her back to the bed, she quickly fell into a deep sleep. Welfare, Hongcha 866. Chapter 234. Su Yunqian had been hospitalized for more than a month. Every day, Bailey Han would go to the hospital to take care of her. Old Madam, Bai Jinxiu, and the others would also visit her from time to time. Once, Xiaodong also went to the hospital under Bailey Jing's invitation. Xiaodong was not in a hurry to enter the ward. She was worried that she would agitate Su Yunqian. Instead, she stood at the door and watched for a while. After making sure that her mood had not deteriorated, she walked in. That was the first time she had watched Bailey Han personally feed Su Yunqian. Her feelings were very complicated. She felt guilty towards Su Yunqian and supported Bailey Han in taking care of her. However, when she saw Bailey Han treating Su Yunqian so intimately with her own eyes, she still felt very uncomfortable. Old Madam and Bai Jinxiu had long been accustomed to it and were not surprised. On the contrary, Bailey Jing quietly leaned over to her ear and whispered, "Sister-in-law, don't be jealous. Big brother said that he would take care of Su Yunqian just like he would take care of me." Xiaodong curled her lips and was grateful for her thoughtfulness. After that, Xiaodong followed Bailey Jing to visit Su Yunqian a few times. Every time Su Yunqian saw her, she would smile sweetly and affectionately call her beautiful sister. Xiaodong felt awkward when she heard it, but she could only smile and agree. The baby in Xiaodong's stomach was already 20 weeks old. It was time for a checkup. She had made an appointment with Lin Shihao in advance, and Bailey Han accompanied her. There were many pregnant mothers waiting outside the obstetrics and gynecology department for a checkup. Bailey Han held her arm as if he was serving the Empress Dowager. Many people looked up at them, especially the expectant mothers who came alone for a pregnancy checkup. Their eyes were filled with envy. Xiaodong lowered her voice in embarrassment. "I can walk on my own." Actually, her belly didn't look big, so it didn't affect her movements at all. Bailey Han chuckled. "That won't do. Even if you agree, the baby won't agree. I'm supporting the baby." Looking at his proud expression, Xiaodong couldn't help but laugh. When she arrived at the waiting area, there were only 2 people in front of Xiaodong. Just as it was almost Xiaodong's turn, Bailey Han suddenly received a phone call from Lu Zihao. Xiaodong smiled and said, "Answer the phone first. Come and find me later." Lin Shihao's face turned grave as he examined her. Xiaodong's heart tightened. Her fingers gripped the corner of her clothes tightly as she asked nervously, "Shihao, is there something wrong with the baby?" Lin Shihao shook his head. "The baby is normal. However, we found a tumor in your uterus. The possibility of it being malignant is very high. We still need to do further tests." Xiaodong widened her eyes in disbelief. After a few seconds, she asked, "Shihao, if it's a malignant tumor, how do we treat it?" "You need surgery to abort the baby and remove the uterus." Xiaodong felt as if she had been struck by lightning, but she quickly calmed down. "Even if it's a malignant tumor, I can't abort the baby. Shihao, I beg you, don't tell Han about this first." Lin Shihao looked at Xiaodong's pleading eyes and finally nodded. "Dr. Lin, how's the situation?" Bailey Han finished the phone call and walked into Lin Shihao's office. Lin Shihao smiled. "The baby is developing very well. He already has hearing and memory. You can start the most basic prenatal education." Bailey Han asked again, "How's my wife's health?" Lin Shihao's smile faded a little. "She's also very healthy." Before Bailey Han came in, Xiaodong had already made an appointment with Lin Shihao for a further checkup. She decided to hide the uterine fibroids from Bailey Han and her family. Bailey Han helped Xiaodong into the car. When he buckled her seat belt, he pressed his face against her stomach and chuckled softly. "Baby, it's Daddy. Daddy is going to take you and Mommy home now." He gently caressed her stomach. As if he had heard his voice, the baby suddenly kicked him with his little foot. He immediately smiled. "Wifey, the baby heard me. The baby is so obedient." Xiaodong placed her hand on the back of his hand. There was a gentle smile on her face, but there was an unknown sadness hidden in her heart. The next day, Xiaodong went to the People's Hospital without telling anyone. She did a more detailed checkup. The results showed that the tumor was malignant. Xiaodong leaned against the hospital bed and froze. Lin Shihao didn't know how to comfort her. After a moment of silence he said, "Are you really not going to have the surgery?" Xiaodong nodded stiffly. "This baby concerns Xiao Guai's life. I have to give birth to him. Get some rest first. I'll ask Siki to take you back." Xiaodong forced a smile. "No, it's okay. I can go back by myself. You go ahead." Although Xiaodong pretended to be strong and acted as if nothing had happened, Lin Shihao was still worried. He called Yi Siki and asked her to go to the hospital to accompany Xiaodong. When Yi Siki heard that Xiaodong was sick, she hung up the phone and rushed to the hospital. When she saw Xiaodong lying on the hospital bed with a pale face, her heart ached. She sat by the bed and asked, Xia, how are you feeling now?" Xiaodong smiled. "Didn't I ask Shihao not to tell you? Why did you still come over? Silly girl, is there a need to be so polite between us?" Yi Siki brushed away the hair on her forehead and pulled out a tissue to wipe the sweat on her forehead. Xiaodong held her hand. "Yezi, you have to keep my illness a secret. Don't tell Han." "Why? Don't tell me you want to bear the pain and pressure alone? As long as I can hold on until the 40th week and give birth to the children, I can go for the operation. I don't want them to suffer with me." Yi Siki sighed. "You're too silly. If I were Bailey Han, I would definitely want to bear the pressure with you." Xiaodong smiled bitterly. "If I can't hold on until then, how do you expect Han to choose between me and the 2 children? Instead of making him suffer, it's better for me to make the decision alone." If there was no time for the operation, she would rather give up her life and save the 2 children. No matter how Yi Siki tried to persuade her, Xiaodong insisted on her own way of thinking. She wanted to bear all of this alone. Yi Siki accompanied her for lunch and walked around for a while to relax. Then he drove her back to the entrance of the old mansion. "If there's anything, feel free to contact me." Yi Siki hugged her when they got out of the car. "I know, Yezi. You have to be happy too. Live well with Shihao." Xia Dong asked the chauffeur to send Yi Siki home. Because of Xia Dong's matter, Yi Siki was also very depressed. She was still thinking about all sorts of things when she was cooking dinner. She almost cut her finger when she was cutting vegetables. She sighed, put away her thoughts, and focused on cutting vegetables. That night, Lin Shihao got off work early. Seeing that she was still busy in the kitchen, he immediately grabbed the spatula from her hand and chased her out of the kitchen to let her rest. During dinner, she was still a little absent-minded. Lin Shihao noticed and deliberately told Yi Siki something interesting happened in the hospital. Nyonyo giggled and pushed Yi Siki's arm. "Mommy, Daddy's joke is so funny. Why aren't you laughing?" "Huh." Only then did Yi Siki realize that the father and son were staring at her with smiles on their faces. She quickly laughed dryly and patted her daughter's head. "It's very funny." "Ha ha ha." Lin Shihao and his daughter despised her together. "Nyonyo, your mommy's reaction is so slow. She only found the joke funny after we finished laughing." Nyonyo made a face. "Yeah, mommy is so stupid." Yi Siki purposely raised her eyebrows angrily. "Are you laughing at me?" Nyonyo stuck out her tongue and snickered. "No, we just think that mommy is so cute because she's so stupid." Lin Shihao patted Yi Siki's head just like how he patted Nyonyo's head. He said seriously, "Honey, you have to admit your shortcomings. You can't hide your illness for fear of treatment." Nyonyo exclaimed and raised her little hand in surprise. "Daddy, I know what it means to hide one's illness for fear of treatment. Our teacher taught us that before." "Then Nyonyo will explain to your mommy what it means to hide one's illness for fear of treatment, in case she's too stupid to understand." "You too, that's enough. If you continue talking, you won't have breakfast tomorrow." Yi Siki snorted and threatened them with a smile. "Aya, Nyonyo is so scared." Nyonyo patted her little chest adorably. Lin Shihao laughed. "Don't be afraid, Nyonyo. Daddy will make breakfast tomorrow." "That's great. Mommy can't threaten us now." The father and daughter sang the same tune. Yi Siki didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but her depressed mood was also relieved a lot. After breakfast, they watched TV for a while. Yi Siki took her daughter to take a shower. Lin Shihao was checking his daughter's homework when his cell phone suddenly rang. He didn't need to look to know who was calling. During this period, Bai Mei Wei had been texting or calling him at this time every night, but he had never replied. Lin Shihao hung up again. 2 minutes later, he received a text message. "Senior, I'm pregnant. I'm at Charm Bar right now. If you don't come over, I'll tell Yi Siki about this." Pregnant. These 2 words were like a bolt from the blue. Lin Shihao couldn't come back to his senses for a long time. His limbs were cold, and he almost stopped breathing. His relationship with Siki had just improved, and now Bai Mei Wei's pregnancy had suddenly popped up. How should he deal with it? Lin Shihao sat on the sofa dejectedly. He hugged his head with both hands, and his mind was in a mess. His cell phone rang again. It was a text from Bai Mei Wei. "Senior, I'll call Yi Siki in an hour." Lin Shihao suddenly stood up. Yi Siki came out of the bathroom and saw this scene. She was shocked. "Hubby, why do you look so pale? Are you feeling unwell?" Lin Shihao said stiffly, "I have a headache. I'm going out to buy some medicine." "Okay, go quickly." Yi Siki didn't suspect anything. She took his coat and helped him put it on. Lin Shihao almost didn't dare to look her in the eye. He took his car keys and hurried out. Beauty novel, Xinwu 799. Chapter 235. Yi Siki felt that his expression was a little strange. She thought that it was because of his headache, so she didn't think too much about it. After returning to the room, she found his wallet on the bedside table and quickly called him. The phone rang a few times before he answered. "Honey, what's wrong?" Yi Siki said, "Hubby, you left your wallet at home. Wait for me downstairs. I'll send it down for you." "No need. I still have some money in my pocket." "Oh, okay then. Go and come back quickly." There was a pharmacy just outside their neighborhood. It would take more than half an hour to go there. Lin Shihao drove the car out of the underground garage. He used the GPS to find the location of Charm Say and sped all the way to the destination. When he arrived at the bar,
Bai Mei Wei was sitting in the corner of the hall, drinking. She was wearing a light yellow dress. She tilted her head and looked at him with intoxicated eyes.
Senior, you're here.
Lin Shihao snatched the wine glass from her hand.
Mei Wei, tell me clearly. What's with the pregnancy?
Bai Mei Wei smiled foolishly.
I'm pregnant. It's been 6 weeks. Senior, what do you think I should do now? Lin Shihao was about to go crazy.
If he hadn't been so panicked at that time and let her take the emergency contraceptive pill, this wouldn't have happened. He took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, Mei Wei, you should abort this child. He had already made a decision on the way here.
You want me to abort the child?
Bai Mei Wei widened her eyes in disbelief.
Senior, you're a doctor.
Don't you know how much damage a woman's body will suffer from an abortion? Moreover, this is our baby.
How can you be so cruel?
I know that an abortion will hurt you, but Mei Wei, the two of us have no future.
I can't give you happiness.
If the child is born, it will only cause trouble for us. Even if I let you down, we can't have this child. Lin Shihao mustered up a lot of courage to say these words. He was also full of guilt towards Bai Mei Wei.
I don't care. I want to give birth to this child.
Tears streamed down Bai Mei Wei's face.
Senior, you can't be so cruel. I love this child. You can't force me to give him up.
Lin Shihao's deep eyes were filled with pain.
Mei Wei, you're still young and have a bright future ahead of you. You can't ruin yourself because of this child.
I beg you, give up on the child. No, I don't want to listen. Bai Mei Wei shook her head frantically, crying hysterically. Senior, I beg you, let me keep this child. As long as you keep the child, I won't bother you anymore.
Mei Wei, you're drunk. Calm down first.
Seeing that she was so agitated, Lin Shihao knew that there was no point in continuing the conversation, so he softened his tone and said, Let's talk about this again after we calm down.
Bai Mei Wei's face was covered in tears. Lin Shihao sighed and handed her a tissue. She didn't take it. She bit her lip and cried silently.
Lin Shihao hesitated for a moment, but still helped her wipe her tears. She suddenly grabbed his hand and looked at him with teary eyes. Senior, how am I not as good as Yi Siki? Lin Shihao stared into her eyes and said slowly, Mei Wei, you're very good. You're beautiful, young, and talented.
But I love Siki.
Even if Bai Mei Wei was perfect, he didn't love her. Bai Mei Wei's eyes filled with tears again.
Let's go. I'll take you home first.
You're drunk. Lin Shihao stood up and stretched out his right hand. Bai Mei Wei reached out and placed her hand in his. With his help, she stood up. She didn't know how much she had drunk, but she wasn't drunk. She clearly understood that this man didn't love her and didn't want the baby in her arms. But she wanted to give the baby a complete family. Lin Shihao helped her into the car. He focused on driving without looking sideways. She leaned back in her seat and turned to look out the window. The night view of the city was mesmerizing. The lights were bright, but to her, it was filled with sadness. Bai Mei Wei bit her lip and held back the tears in her eyes. She stroked her belly with her right hand and secretly made up her mind that she had to give the baby a complete family. She couldn't act rashly anymore. She had to adopt a rational strategy. Lin Shihao walked her to the door of the villa. She turned to look at him. Under the light, she revealed a pale smile. Senior, thank you for taking me home. I was drunk just now. Don't take what I said to heart. I will carefully consider whether or not to give up on the child. Lin Shihao said in a low voice. You're tired. Go back and rest early. We'll talk about the child in 2 days.
Okay.
She obediently opened the car door and got out of the car. She stood by the roadside and waved at him. Lin Shihao nodded and drove away. He rushed back to the neighborhood as fast as he could. After entering the elevator, he carefully adjusted his clothes in the mirror inside the elevator. He took a few deep breaths before he walked out of the elevator with a calm expression. Lin Shihao opened the door with his key. After he walked in, he found Yi Siki sitting on the sofa waiting for him. Perhaps she had waited for too long because she had fallen asleep. Her body leaned against the back of the chair and she slept very hard. He didn't even have time to take off his jacket. He bent down and picked her up and walked to the bedroom. Yi Siki wasn't a deep sleeper. She woke up after he took 2 steps. She rubbed her sleepy eyes and asked,
Hubby, why were you gone for so long? Did you buy the medicine? Does your head still hurt? Lin Shihao hugged her tightly. The pharmacy in the neighborhood didn't have that kind of medicine, so I went further away to buy it. My head doesn't hurt anymore. Okay, that's good. You must have been working too hard. That's why you have a headache. I'll buy some nutritious food for your brain tomorrow. Yisiki reached out and hugged his neck. Lin Shihao felt guilty and touched. He said gently, "Honey, you don't have to wait for me in the future. If you're tired, go to sleep first." He felt very sad when he saw her sleeping so hard on the sofa. "Okay, I know." She rubbed against his chest comfortably. She hadn't done that intimate action in a long time. Lin Shihao kissed her forehead and put her on the bed. "Honey, go to sleep first. I'm going to take a shower." "Okay," she answered lazily. She crawled under the covers and quickly closed her eyes. In the bathroom, the sound of water splashing could be heard. Lin Shihao looked at the foggy mirror. His face was a blur. He clenched his fists in pain. Bai Meiwei's sorrowful cries and Siki's trusting gaze intertwined in his mind. He was in so much pain that he wanted to die. Life went on. Some people were in pain, while others were in bliss. Xia Dong had already begun to feel the pain caused by the tumor. Her stomach ached, her back ached, and she felt as if she was falling. Actually, before she was diagnosed, she had felt the same way. However, she had always thought that it was a normal condition of pregnancy and didn't take it to heart. When she woke up in the morning, her stomach started to hurt again. She held her stomach and sat on the bed, not wanting to move for a long time. Bailey Han finished washing up and came out of the bathroom. Seeing that she didn't look too good, he strode over and asked anxiously, "Honey, is your stomach hurting?" Xia Dong looked up at him and smiled. "No, the baby kicked me just now." Bailey Han's expression brightened. He stroked her stomach gently and smiled. "Baby, don't torture your mommy anymore. Otherwise, when you come out, Daddy will spank your butt." Xia Dong cried out. "Aya!" The baby moved. "He must be unhappy with what you said." After the baby moved a little, her stomach actually didn't hurt anymore. Bailey Han deliberately put on a stern face. "Little brat, you dare to protest against Daddy now? When you grow up, you'll turn the sky upside down." Xia Dong hurriedly covered his mouth. "You're so annoying. Don't scare the child. The doctor said that the baby now has hearing and memory. He will remember what you said." Bailey Han held her hand and chuckled. "I know, honey. In the future, when we do intimate things, we have to worry about the baby peeking." "Pervert." Xia Dong rolled her eyes at him in annoyance. Her cheeks quietly turned red. Bailey Han was in a good mood and kissed her on the lips. He whispered, "The baby has hearing. You can't scold me in the future. Otherwise, if the baby hears it, he will definitely misunderstand that his daddy is a bad person." "Hey, you're not a good person to begin with." Xia Dong poked his arm with her finger and deliberately put on a stern face. "You took me hostage and used your power to force me to marry you. This matter is a sad history full of blood and tears." Bailey Han's face was bitter. "Honey, can we not talk about that matter anymore?" She raised her eyebrows proudly. "No, that matter is enough for me to talk about for the rest of my life." "All right, if you're happy, I'm willing to let you talk about it for the rest of my life." Bailey Han saw her smile and his heart was bubbling with happiness. He hugged her and kissed her again and again. Xia Dong blushed and pushed him. "Hurry up and go to work. Otherwise, you'll be late." Bailey Han teased her for a while more before going downstairs with a smile. When Xia Dong finished tidying up and went downstairs, Xiao Yi and Xiao Bao Gigai were sitting at the dining table eating. Bailey Han had just finished eating and stood up gracefully. He touched the two little guys' heads and reminded them to be obedient at school today. Then he walked in front of Xia Dong, put his arm around her waist, and said softly, "Honey, I'm going to the company." "Okay, be careful on the road." Xia Dong smiled as she sent him to the door. As her illness worsened, Xia Dong handed the task of sending the children to and from school to the driver. She was worried that she would fall ill while driving. That would be too dangerous. Lin Shihao prescribed her some medicine that had the effect of suppressing the illness, but she was worried that it would have a negative effect on the baby, so she did not take it. After taking it home, She secretly poured it down the toilet and flushed it all down the drain. Xiaodong rarely went out. She stayed at home to take care of the baby and accompany Gigai. She only went out with Bailey Han regularly to take Gigai to the hospital for chemotherapy. On this day, the weather was very good. The old madam decided to visit Su Yunqian in the hospital. Bailey Jing invited Xiaodong to go with him. Xiaodong did not want to go at first, but the old madam said, "Granddaughter-in-law, it's not good for the baby if you stay at home every day. Pregnant women should also exercise appropriately. Come out with us." Xiaodong had no choice but to go with them. Su Yunqian's illness seemed to be improving again. Now her dominant personality had become the naive and cheerful one. Most of the time, she faced everyone with her naive and cheerful side. Su Yunqian was very happy to see Xiaodong. "Pretty sister, you're here to see me again." Xiaodong smiled and nodded. The old madam smiled. "Granddaughter-in-law, look, Yunqian still misses you. You should come and see her more often in the future." Xiaodong smiled and said, "Okay." Su Yunqian looked at Xiaodong's belly in surprise. "Pretty sister, why is your belly so big?" Xiaodong covered her belly with her right hand and smiled. "Because there's a Xiaobao baby in my belly." "Xiaobao baby? It's so magical. Can I touch it?" Xiaodong hesitated for a moment and finally nodded under her pure and expectant gaze. Su Yunqian happily reached out her right hand and carefully touched Xiaodong's belly. "It's so round. It's so cute." She touched it for nearly a minute before she reluctantly withdrew her hand. Seeing that her mood had stabilized and her illness had improved, everyone was very happy. The old madam and Mrs. Su chatted for more than an hour. When the old madam and the others were about to leave, Su Yunqian suddenly said, "Pretty sister, can I talk to you alone?" Xiaodong was a little hesitant. Mrs. Su smiled and said, "Xiaodong, it seems that Yunqian likes you very much. Please accompany her for a while." The old madam also said, "Granddaughter-in-law, accompany Yunqian for a while." Xiaodong could only nod. Only Xiaodong and Su Yunqian were left in the ward. Su Yunqian looked at her with a smile and pointed at the sofa beside her. "Pretty sister, sit over here." Xiaodong smiled and sat beside her. "Pretty sister, your name is Xiaodong, right?" Su Yunqian held her head with both hands and looked at her with a smile. Xiaodong hummed in acknowledgement. Su Yunqian's smile suddenly disappeared and her expression became cold. She said coldly, "Han abandoned me because of you." Her expression changed too quickly and her beautiful eyes were full of hatred. Xiaodong stared at her in disbelief. "Miss Su, are you okay?" Su Yunqian exuded a dark and strange aura. She was like a vicious witch from hell. Her delicate face was already distorted by hatred and she said coldly, "Yes, of course I'm not okay. I was kidnapped by your perverted admirer and I thought you would have a trace of conscience and come to save me. But I never thought that you would watch me get raped by that pervert." Su Yunqian's strange aura and cold tone made Xiaodong shudder. She stepped back vigilantly and said calmly, "Miss Su, I'm really sorry about what happened to you." "Is it okay to just say sorry?" Su Yunqian suddenly grinned. The strange aura around her dissipated and she revealed an innocent smile. "Then you're oversimplifying things, pretty sister." Add, Song Shu 566. Chapter 236. Xiaodong had a bad feeling. She quickly got up and wanted to run out. However, Su Yunqian was faster than her. She suddenly stretched out a leg and blocked Xiaodong. Xiaodong was so fast that she almost tripped. Fortunately, she quickly grabbed the table next to her and steadied herself. However, Su Yunqian wouldn't let her off so easily. At the same time, she stabbed Xiaodong's stomach with a dagger. In the blink of an eye, Xiaodong put her left hand on the table and grabbed the dagger with her right hand. The sharp blade cut her palm and blood dripped onto the carpet. Su Yunqian gritted her teeth and pushed the dagger in Xiaodong's direction with all her might. She stared coldly at Xiaodong's stomach because that was her target. Xiaodong held the dagger tightly and endured the pain. She shouted for help. "Help!" Just as the door was opened from the outside, Su Yunqian's eyes rolled back and she fell to the ground. Her body was at the spot where Xiaodong's blood dripped. "Oh my god, what's going on? Yunqian, Yunqian!" Madame Su was the first to run in. When she saw Su Yunqian lying in a pool of blood, she thought that she was the one who was injured. She quickly held her shoulders and shouted, "Doctor!" The old madam walked in with the help of Bailey Jing. Bailey Jing had sharp eyes and saw that Xia Dong was holding a dagger in her right hand. Blood was dripping down the back of her hand. She quickly said, "Sister-in-law, your hand is injured." The old madam hurriedly said, "Quick, Jing, go and help your sister-in-law." Bailey Jing ran over and helped the pale Xia Dong sit on the sofa. Only then did she see that Xia Dong's entire palm was stained red with blood. She couldn't even see the wound clearly. The doctor and nurse rushed over. The doctor checked Su Yunqian's condition while the nurse, Miss, treated Xia Dong's wound. The nurse asked Xia Dong to open her right hand and found that the blade had been embedded in her palm. Even the nurse, who was used to seeing wounds, shuddered. She carefully pulled the dagger out of her palm, and the blood flowed even more. The wound on his right hand was very deep and long. He could almost see the bone. After the nurse finished bandaging her wound, Xia Dong was about to faint from the pain. Her face was as pale as a sheet of paper, and her lips were pale. The doctor immediately asked someone to help her into the ward to rest. When Bailey Han heard the news and rushed over, Su Yunqian had yet to wake up, and Xia Dong was lying on the hospital bed with a bloody gauze wrapped around her right hand. He held her in his arms with heartache. "Wife, what happened? How did your hand get injured?" Xia Dong leaned on his broad chest. Her heart was still beating fiercely. She still felt afraid when she recalled what had just happened. Her body trembled slightly. She wanted to tell him about Su Yunqian's abnormality, but her mind was in a mess and she couldn't say it. "All right, don't be afraid. I'm here. I'll always be here." Bailey Han felt her fear and hugged her tightly to comfort her. After about 10 minutes, Xia Dong finally calmed down. She thought for a moment and said, Han, I suspect that Su Yunqian hurt me on purpose." Bailey Han was shocked and looked at her in disbelief. She pursed her lips and continued, "Just now, Su Yunqian suddenly asked for my name and said that you abandoned her because of me. She blamed me for not saving her when she was kidnapped. Then she became very scary. I was worried that she would suddenly lose her mind and hurt me and the child, so I got up to leave. I didn't expect her to stretch out her leg and almost trip me. When I steadied myself, she pulled out a dagger and stabbed at my abdomen. Fortunately, I caught the dagger firmly." She leaned into his arms tightly and said with a trembling voice, Fortunately, I caught it. Otherwise, the baby would have." Bailey Han's heart ached as he hugged her tightly. He could imagine the tense scene at that time. He could imagine Xia Dong's panic. Han, I suspect that Su Yunqian hurt me on purpose. I also suspect that she didn't lose her mind but was pretending." When Bailey Han rushed over, Xia Dong thought a lot and recalled the scene again and again. She always felt that there was something wrong with Su Yunqian. It was not as simple as a split personality. Bailey Han touched her hair. "Honey, take a rest first. Don't think so much." Xia Dong asked him nervously, "You don't believe what I said?" Bailey Han said softly, "It's not that I don't believe you. When Yunqian wakes up, I'll ask her." "Good girl. Don't think anymore. Take a rest." Xia Dong's right hand was in so much pain that she couldn't sleep at all. However, she didn't want Bailey Han to worry, so she quietly lay in his arms and closed her eyes to rest. Leaning against his warm chest and listening to his steady heartbeat, she gradually fell asleep. She didn't know how long she slept. When she woke up, Bailey Han was no longer by her side. She asked the nurse and found out that he was in Su Yunqian's ward. Xia Dong dragged her injured right hand and walked step by step to the door of Su Yunqian's ward. She used her left hand to gently turn the handle and push the door open slightly. She saw Bailey Han sitting by Su Yunqian's bed. Su Yunqian had already woken up and her face was full of tears. Su Yunqian cried and said, "I don't know. I really don't know. How could I hurt pretty sister?" Bailey Han's voice was a little low. "Yunqian, where did the dagger come from?" Su Yunqian cried and shook her head. "I don't know either. Han, believe me. I really didn't hurt her." Old Madam's voice sounded. Han, Yunqian has just woken up. Don't force her any more." It turned out that Old Madam was also in the ward. Perhaps she was sitting on the sofa, so Xia Dong didn't see her. "Sister-in-law,
Why don't you go in? Bailey Jing's voice came from behind. Xiaodong quickly straightened up and turned to Bailey Jing. Instead of answering, she asked, Jing, where did you go just now? I wanted to look for you, but I couldn't find you. Bailey Jing smiled. I saw that you were sleeping soundly, so I didn't want to disturb you. I was afraid that you would be hungry when you woke up, so I bought some porridge for you. She suddenly leaned over to Xiaodong's ear and whispered, Actually, Big Brother asked me to buy it. The door of the ward was suddenly pulled open from the inside. Bailey Han appeared at the door and naturally put his arm around Xiaodong's shoulder. He said softly, You're awake. Are you hungry? Jing bought some porridge for you. Xiaodong poked his arm with her left hand, motioning him to move away. Bailey Jing smirked. Xiaodong smiled embarrassedly. Thank you, Jing. Bailey Jing raised her eyebrows. Don't mention it. Her eyes fell on Xiaodong's hand. Sister-in-law, does your hand still hurt? It's much better. Let's go in and talk. Bailey Han moved his arm away from Xiaodong's shoulder and put it around her waist. Su Yunqian saw them walk in intimately and her tears immediately fell. She cried and said, Pretty sister, I didn't do it on purpose. I really don't know why I have a dagger and why I hurt you. Xiaodong lowered her eyes and didn't say anything. It was impossible for her to say that it was okay in front of everyone and that she was willing to forgive Su Yunqian. It was okay for Su Yunqian to hurt her, but she shouldn't have targeted her child. Mrs. Su said, Xiaodong, I apologize to you on behalf of Yunqian. I hope you won't hold her responsible. You know Yunqian's current condition. She didn't do it on purpose. Xiaodong said mildly, Mrs. Su, are you sure that Miss Su hurt me because she was sick? Mrs. Su's expression changed. What do you mean by that? Xiaodong looked into her eyes and said seriously, I suspect that Miss Su is faking her illness. No, that's impossible. If Yunqian was faking her illness, why would she commit suicide by cutting her wrists? Mrs. Su was the person who interacted with Su Yunqian the most. She had watched her switch between several personalities and couldn't even remember what had just happened. Xiaodong glanced at the sobbing Su Yunqian and said mildly, It's possible that she's just trying to gain sympathy by injuring herself. The anger in Mrs. Su's heart surged, and she said angrily, Xiaodong, how can you say that about Yunqian? If you hadn't left her in the lurch, Yunqian wouldn't have been hurt. She suffered such a huge blow. Isn't it right for her to lose her mind? How can you make such malicious assumptions about her? Xiaodong gritted her teeth and was about to argue when the old madam suddenly coughed and said, Granddaughter-in-law, we all know about Yunqian's illness. I know that you misunderstood Yunqian because you were injured. Grandma, honey, Xiaodong had just said a few words when she was interrupted by Bailey Han. He said softly, Honey, you're tired. I'll take you home to rest. Han, you have to believe me. Xiaodong ignored the pain from her wound and anxiously grabbed his arm. Bailey Han said in a low voice, Honey, let's talk about it at home, okay? She could see the worry and anticipation in his deep eyes. In the end, she gave up on what she wanted to say and nodded mildly. Okay, let's go home. After returning home, Xiaodong still didn't give up. She analyzed to Bailey Han what was wrong with Su Yunqian, but he didn't agree with her. Instead, he held her in his arms and told her with a very tolerant expression and tone, Honey, you might have been frightened and made a mistake. The old madam also came to persuade Xiaodong not to think too much. She also said that she hoped that she could forgive Su Yunqian. After all, Su Yunqian was suffering from dissociative identity disorder and couldn't control her behavior. She didn't mean to hurt her. In fact, there was a deeper reason. Even if they didn't say it, Xiaodong knew that Bailey's family felt that Su Yunqian's kidnapping was caused by the Bailey's family. They were in the wrong, so no matter what Su Yunqian asked for or did, they wanted to treat her with a tolerant attitude. However, they didn't expect that such an unconditional attitude would hurt Xiaodong. They also didn't expect that Xiaodong would do something that they would regret. Awesome novel, Song Shu 566. Chapter 237. Bailey Han was like a nanny, constantly watching Xiaodong's movements and not letting her use her right hand. When it came to eating, he fed her. When it came to bathing, he helped her wash.
Even when it came to changing clothes, he was the one who helped her. Xiaodong's expression remained indifferent and she didn't pay much attention to him. She would only respond with a few words when he forced her. When she went to bed that night, her back was also facing Bailey Han. Bailey Han hugged her from behind and said gently, "Honey, are you still angry?" Xiaodong didn't say anything and ignored him. She was quite angry. As her husband, he didn't believe her words at all. Although he didn't persuade her to forgive Su Yunqian with the old madam, his attitude made her very sad. "Honey, don't be angry. Otherwise, it's not good for the baby. The baby can understand mommy's feelings now and he will be angry with mommy." Bailey Han's right hand reached out to her abdomen and gently stroked it. He rubbed his head against her face in a fawning manner. She still ignored him and even turned her face away to avoid his head. "Honey, just for the baby, don't be angry anymore, okay?" His voice became more gentle and there was a hint of pleading in it. Xiaodong bit her lip and tears gradually appeared in her eyes. The cold tears dripped onto the back of Bailey Han's hand. He hugged her with heartache. "Honey, I was wrong. Don't be sad." "You weren't wrong. I was the one who was wrong." Xiaodong closed her eyes and a few drops of tears rolled down her face again. "Don't cry. My heart is in a mess when you cry." Bailey Han gently turned her shoulders and made her face him. Seeing her teary eyes, his heart suddenly ached. He raised his hand and gently wiped away the tears on her face. "Honey, I know you've suffered a lot. I've wronged you. You can scold me or hit me, but don't be angry anymore." Xiaodong bit her lip and didn't say anything. He raised her left hand and suddenly slapped his face. She didn't expect him to really let her hit him. She panicked and her tears fell even harder. "What are you doing? Did I say I was going to hit you?" He kissed the back of her hand. "Honey, as long as you're not angry anymore, you can punch me a few more times." Xiaodong didn't want to talk to him, but when she saw his deep eyes and his loving expression, she couldn't bear it anymore. She raised her injured right hand and stroked his cheek. "Does it hurt?" "It doesn't hurt." He hugged her tightly. "Honey, trust me. I will never let anyone hurt you again." Although Xiaodong leaned on his warm embrace, her heart did not become warm. She did not believe that as long as Bailey Han felt guilty towards Su Yunqian, there would be a gap between them that could not be crossed. Her stomach suddenly hurt. The feeling of falling and swelling made her frown. She lay in his arms, clutching his bathrobe tightly. Her body stiffened as she endured the pain. Bailey Han was keenly aware of it. He stroked her back and said softly, "What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell?" "No, I'm just a little cold." "Han, hold me tight." Xiaodong's voice was a little hoarse. In a place where he couldn't see, her face had already turned pale. "Okay." Bailey Han reached out to raise the temperature of the air conditioner. Then he hugged her tightly in his arms, carefully avoiding her stomach. After about 5 to 6 minutes, the pain finally subsided. Xiaodong let out a long sigh of relief. The next day, Xiaodong went to the hospital for a checkup. Lin Shihao said that her condition was worsening and asked her to control her emotions, not to get angry and not to get agitated. She looked down and asked, "Shihao, with my current condition, can I last until the 40th week?" Lin Shihao's expression was serious. "Actually, you only need to wait until the 35th week for the baby to survive. With your current condition, if you actively cooperate with the treatment, you can last until then. But you must pay attention to control your emotions and maintain a positive attitude. Otherwise, your condition will continue to worsen." After coming out of the office, Lin Shihao's voice kept echoing in her mind. She had to control her emotions and maintain a positive attitude. Both of these seemed to be very difficult for her. Xiaodong sat in the hospital garden in a daze. She didn't know how long she had been sitting there for, but her phone suddenly rang. It was Bailey Han. His voice was very gentle. "Honey, where are you now?" Xiaodong looked up at the patients coming and going around and smiled. "I'm outside with Siki. You can't carry heavy things with your hands. Be careful, okay?" "Okay, I know. Is there anything else?" He hesitated for a moment and said, "After work today, I have to go to the hospital first. I'll try to come back early." Xiaodong leaned back in the chair dejectedly. She felt that the temperature was very low today and she was very cold. Okay, I got it. Go ahead. He gave her a lot of advice, but she didn't listen. Her mind was filled with the scene of him accompanying Su Yunqian in the hospital. If Su Yunqian was really sick, she wouldn't be jealous. But Su Yunqian was faking it. Why was no one willing to believe her? Xia Dong sat in a cafe next to the hospital and called Yi Siki. Siki, can you come out and keep me company? In less than an hour, Yi Siki rushed over from home. What's wrong? What happened? Xia Dong used her left hand to place the hot drink she had ordered in front of her. She said slowly, Siki, I want to run away from home. Yi Siki was so shocked that she almost jumped up. She suppressed her anger and growled, Run away from home? You're crazy. Xia Dong smiled bitterly. I'm not crazy. I'm just afraid that if I continue to stay here, I'll really go crazy. Siki, I can't take it anymore. What the hell is going on? You're not the type to give up so easily. Xia Dong picked up her right hand that was hidden under the table and placed it on the table. Yi Siki's eyes narrowed. Your right hand is injured. Who did this? It was Su Yunqian. Xia Dong paused and said, I suspect that she's pretending to be mentally ill. Xia Dong told Yi Siki in detail about how Su Yunqian had injured her yesterday. Finally, she concluded, I don't believe that a person with a split personality can be so clear-headed. Also, her last sentence was said with an innocent personality. I can only think of one explanation for her switching between personalities so quickly. She's pretending to be crazy. Yi Siki looked furious. I knew that woman was up to no good. I didn't expect that she would come up with the idea of pretending to be crazy. Did you tell Bailey Han about this? Xia Dong rubbed her eyebrows. I did. I told everyone at home, but they didn't believe me. Han thought that I was mistaken, but I'm sure that I wasn't mistaken. Yi Siki angrily punched the table and scolded Bailey Han. After a while she said, Although I believe what you said, it's too rash of you to leave home just because of this. It's not just this. Xia Dong sighed. Han's memory is very unstable and he's not in a good state of mind. A few days ago, he forgot about me again and even had a big fight with me. I really feel terrible. Do you know that? I knew that Su Yunqian was faking her illness, but I still had to see her being intimate with Han. I can't do it. As she spoke, she started to sob. Yi Siki sat beside her and put his arm around her shoulders. Xia Dong tried hard to control her emotions. She pursed her lips and continued, My condition is worsening. I can't be agitated or angry. If I want to hold on until I give birth to the child and have the surgery, I have to control my condition. Yi Siki finally understood Xia Dong's current situation. She had uterine fibroids but hid it from everyone. She originally wanted to give birth to the child and have the surgery, but the things that happened at home made it difficult for her to control her emotions. Her condition kept worsening, so it would be very difficult for her to hold on until the day of the C-section. Yi Siki thought for a long time and said in a deep voice, If you suddenly leave home, will Bailey Han be agitated and his condition worsen? What about the 3 children, especially Gigai? I think you should tell your family about your condition. We can discuss how to create a better atmosphere. I'll find an excuse. I'll say that I'm going to Italy to visit Godfather and that I'm waiting to give birth there. I'll bring Xiao Guai along and have the surgery for her. Godfather has already arranged a hospital for Xiao Guai anyway. She laughed self-deprecatingly. Strictly speaking, this isn't considered running away from home. I'm just going abroad to relax. Do you think Bailey Han will agree? I'll act first and report later. What if he goes to Italy to look for you? Xia Dong laughed. He doesn't know Godfather's address. If Godfather is easily found by others, he doesn't deserve to be called the father of the mafia. Yi Siki looked at her. Are you really not going to think about it? This is the best idea I can think of so far. Why don't you tell Bailey Han the truth? I think this is the best idea. With his feelings for you, if you tell him about your condition, he'll definitely create the best atmosphere for you. Xia Dong smiled bitterly. Yi, between the fact that I'm seriously ill and on the brink of death or the fact that I'm going abroad to relax, which one do you think will stimulate Han more? She made this decision not only for the baby and Gigai in her belly, but also for Bailey Han. Yi Siki sighed. Okay, maybe your idea is the best. Although Xiaodong was very calm in front of Yi Siki and analyzed the situation clearly, when it came to making a decision, she still hesitated. That night, she called Xiao Yi and Xiao Bao to her side and said, Xiao Yi, Xiao Bao, Mommy has something to ask of you. What's the matter, Mommy? Xiaodong smiled and said, Mommy may take Gigai to Italy tomorrow to visit your god-grandfather. Mommy will also wait for delivery there until Gigai's illness is cured. Mommy wants to ask of you to be good children and wait for Mommy to come back, okay? Awesome novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 238. Little Wingzy had a serious expression on his face. Mommy, will Daddy go with you? Xiaodong smiled. This is the second thing Mommy wants you to do. Don't tell Daddy. If you know about this, I will take Gigai abroad alone. Mom, why did you suddenly make such a decision? Did something happen? Did Daddy hurt you? Xiao Bao stared at her with his dark eyes. No, don't think too much. Bao Bao, you know that your god-grandfather has already contacted a hospital for Gigai. I'm going abroad mainly to wait for the delivery and then treat Gigai. Xiaodong tried to persuade her two sons, but it was not so easy to deceive her two genius sons. Xiao Yi's little face darkened and he suddenly hugged her leg. Mommy, are you going to abandon us again? Xiaodong's heart ached and she hugged him tightly. Silly son, why would I abandon you? Mommy will be back soon. Then why can't Daddy know? The little boy refused to give up. If I tell you in advance, Daddy will definitely not agree. Xiaodong stroked Xiao Yi's head and said softly, Your daddy is already working hard. Mommy doesn't want him to work harder. After I leave, I will tell him that I went to Italy. Xiao Bao suddenly said, Mom, are you angry because Dad has been taking care of Su Yunqian recently? Of course not. Xiaodong hugged Xiao Bao and said softly, Xiao Bao, Xiao Yi, your daddy's health is not good. Because of the after effects of the car accident, he often faints and even has headaches. Don't talk back to him. Gigai, listen to him. Don't make Mommy worry, okay? Mommy, can you stay? Xiao Yi puffed up her cheeks, her eyes filled with anticipation. Xiaodong kissed him on the cheek. I'm sorry, Xiao Yi. Mommy has to go, but Mommy promises that I'll contact you every day, as if Mommy is still by your side. Although the two children were extremely unwilling, they were still convinced by Xiaodong. After all, Xiao Guai was their very important sister, and they didn't want anything to happen to her. After the three of them finished their discussion, Xiaodong went back to her room. Xiao Yi and Xiao Bao stared at each other in silence. Xiao Bao jumped onto her bed and said, Xiao Yi, I don't think things are that simple. What do you think? Xiao Yi also jumped onto the bed and sat next to him. She said with a fierce expression, I suspect that Mommy is angry. Her hand was stabbed by that bad woman. Great-grandma and grandma all advised Mommy not to make things difficult for that bad woman. Even I'm angry. Xiao Bao puffed up her cheeks and snorted. Also, Dad's attitude is very infuriating. Although he didn't stand on great-grandma's side, he didn't support Mom either. People who stand in the middle are the most annoying. Yes, Daddy has disappointed me this time. Although Xiao Yi sided with Daddy, she had to admit that Xiao Bao's words made sense. Her little face darkened. Xiao Bao snorted. That's why we have to help Mom punish them. Xiao Yi continued, We'll listen to Mommy and pretend that we didn't know that she would leave. Then, we'll secretly contact her and not tell the rest of the family. Yes. Xiao Bao rubbed her little chin. Her eyes shone with an inexplicable light. Not only that, I'll make Su Yunqian pay the price. That bad woman is too hateful. Xiao Yi thought for a moment and said, Mommy said that Su Yunqian was pretending to be crazy. We can start from this. As long as we find evidence, we can expose her in front of everyone. Xiao Bao blinked her big eyes. Yes. She's lying in the hospital every day. If we want to find evidence, we can only start from the hospital. I have to prepare the listening device, pinhole camera, and the like. Xiao Yi's lips curled. How do you plan to arrange her into the ward? I have a good idea. Xiao Yi waved her hand. Xiao Bao leaned over and whispered something into Xiao Bao's ear. Yes. That's a good idea. Let's hurry up and prepare. The two little guys began to prepare in full swing. After rummaging for a long time, they found a beautiful porcelain vase with two big ears. The mouth of the vase was just big enough to accommodate a child's hand. Xiao Yi fixed the listening device that Xiao Bao brought to the ears of the vase and covered the entrance with a layer of film to hide the listening device. Unless the vase was smashed, no one would discover that there was a listening device hidden inside. Xiao Yi carried the porcelain vase to Bailey Han. Daddy, you're going to visit Auntie Yunqian tomorrow. Can you help me give this gift to her? Bailey Han smiled and said, Why did you suddenly think of giving Auntie Yunqian a gift? Xiao Yi lowered her head in embarrassment. I made this myself in art class. Auntie Yunqian used to treat me very well. Now that she's sick, I haven't visited her, so I want to give her a gift. Xiao Yi is so sensible. Don't worry. Daddy will send your gift tomorrow. Bailey Han looked at the vase carefully. The craftsmanship was a little rough and there was a bit of childlike innocence. Overall, it was still very beautiful. Most importantly, he was very happy that the child had such a thought. Thank you, Daddy. I'll go back and rest first. Good night, Daddy. Okay, good night. Xia Dong had already applied for a visa when she was preparing to go to Italy last time, so the procedures this time were very simple. She only needed to book the plane ticket. She thought for a long time and decided not to tell Mika Kito for the time being. She didn't want to trouble him anymore. After taking a shower, she sat at the head of the bed and waited for Bailey Han to come out of the bathroom. This night would be the last night they spent together for half a year. Xia Dong wanted to make it unforgettable. Bailey Han was wrapped in a bathrobe and sat beside her. He combed her long hair with his fingers. Why aren't you sleeping yet? I'm waiting for you. Xia Dong wrapped her arms around Bailey Han's neck and leaned her face on his chest. Then rest early. You're tired too. I'm not tired. I don't want to sleep yet. Xia Dong smelled the scent of Bailey Han's shower. It was a light fragrance and there was a masculine air unique to men. The corners of her lips curled up. Her left hand slowly slid down and slowly kneaded his chest. Bailey Han's throat moved. He grabbed her hand and his eyes were deep. Honey, don't play with fire. She raised her beautiful eyes. Her beautiful face had a hint of charm, like a demon fox deep in the mountains. She wrapped around his body and laughed softly. Hubby, I want you to play with fire with me. She had never taken the initiative like this before. Bailey Han was a little surprised. He laughed softly. You're not allowed to beg for mercy later. Which time did she not beg for mercy in the end? Xia Dong's cheeks turned red. She hugged his neck angrily. I won't. She kissed his lips without a care. The moment her lips touched Bailey Han's lips, he was completely conquered. He took the initiative. He cupped the back of her head and deepened the kiss. Bailey Han's heavy breathing hit Xia Dong's cheek. His tall nose was pressed tightly against the tip of her nose. Xia Dong closed her eyes tightly and welcomed his kiss with all her heart. Bailey Han sucked on her soft lips as if they were the most precious treasure in the world. Her breathing became faster and faster. She slowly opened her red lips. His tongue invaded and entangled with hers. He held her waist with one hand and the back of her head with the other. Xia Dong only felt that she was fully wrapped up. Her heart gradually ached. After this separation, they would not see each other for at least half a year. She would definitely miss him. So now, she had to devote herself to him. She had to remember his taste, his breath, and the happiness he brought her. The past was like a movie, intertwining in her mind. She remembered his exasperated roar when he applied medicine for her in Bali. She remembered that when they were on a deserted island, he carried her on his back in the rain. She remembered his disdainful and angry expression when she purposely approached him. She remembered that in order not to hurt her, he knocked his head until it was bleeding. She also remembered that when he forced her to marry him, he was incomparably domineering. She had never dared to believe in love and marriage. It was he who used practical actions to weave a sweet trap and made her deeply fall into it. She already loved him to the bone and she could not leave him. However, for the baby in her belly and Xiao Guai, she had to make a painful decision. Tears blurred her eyes and slowly fell down. Bailey Han also tasted the bitter taste. He lifted her chin and saw the tears in her beautiful eyes. His heart ached. He moved his lips forward and kissed away the tears on her cheeks with extreme gentleness. Then, he slowly returned to her lips. Their soft lips pressed against each other for a long time, unwilling to leave. They did not separate until they were both a little out of breath. Xia Dong's right hand was still wrapped in gauze, so she could only move her left hand. She pushed him onto the bed and wanted to lean over to kiss him, but her belly was in the middle and she could not touch him at all. A smile appeared in Bailey Han's eyes as he looked forward to the surprise she was about to give him. His body was very perfect. Her hand moved from his chest all the way down to his bulging abs. She carefully stroked them. They were hard and made her cheeks heat up. Her mind could not help but think of the charming scene of his solid abs hitting her when he pressed her under his body. She quickly restrained her thoughts, but her eyes could not help but see the burning desire in his eyes. Her cheeks were red, and she did not know where to look. She coughed and said, "Hubby, close your eyes first." Bailey Han chuckled softly and closed his eyes as he was told. Without those two burning gazes, Xia Dong raised her body slightly and sat on his waist. Her left hand trembled as she stroked the thing that had been pressing against her. Her body was already burning with flames, but the depths of her soul were empty, as if she was thirsting for something. The big hand that kept stroking her waist seemed to be silently urging her. Xia Dong's throat was dry. She held his desire and moved her body to sit on top of him. Beauty novel, Hong Cha 866. Chapter 239. In the end, Xia Dong was so tired that she couldn't even open her eyes. She only knew that Bailey Han carried her into the bathroom. He gently washed her body and then carried her back to the bed. He held her in his arms and kissed her earlobe. He whispered in her ear, "Honey, I like you very much tonight." All of her tiredness dissipated because of this sentence. Her heart trembled and 2 drops of tears slowly flowed down from the corners of her tightly shut eyes. "Hubby, forgive me. I have to be a deserter," she said over and over in her heart. "Hubby, I'm sorry. Hubby, I love you." When Xia Dong woke up in the morning, Bailey Han had already changed his clothes and was about to go downstairs for breakfast. He bent down and kissed her forehead. He said softly, "Honey, you're tired. Sleep a little longer." "Hubby, I want to look at you more." Xia Dong crawled out from under the covers and hooked her arms around his neck. Her reluctant gaze slowly moved down from his smooth and full forehead. His deep eyes, high nose, sexy thin lips, sharp chin, and perfect face. She wanted to engrave him deeply in her heart. "My husband is so handsome. Let's go to the company." Xia Dong smiled and touched his handsome face. "Okay, I'll be back early tonight." Bailey Han chuckled and kissed her lips. After Bailey Han left, Xia Dong slowly got out of bed. She stood by the balcony and watched Bailey Han drive away. Her eyes were sore, but she held it in and didn't cry. She took out a pen and paper and wrote a short letter for the old madam. She also wrote a short letter for Bailey Han. Xia Dong went downstairs. Xiao Yi and Xiao Bao had already finished eating and were sitting on the sofa waiting for her. She walked in front of them and touched their heads. She said softly, "Xiao Yi, Xiao Bao, remember what Mommy told you last night?" "Got it." The 2 little ones nodded in unison. "That's good. Gigai, be good and take care of yourself. Don't let Mommy worry." Xia Dong hugged them tightly. "Got it." In the living room, it was inconvenient to say anything unnecessary. The 2 children leaned in her arms, their eyes glistening with tears, but they quickly suppressed them. Xia Dong held their little hands and sent them to the car. Then, she stood at the side and watched the car drive away. She saw the 2 children sitting in the back seat waving their little hands. She also waved until they could no longer be seen. After tidying up her things, Xia Dong made an excuse to take Gigai out for a walk. Carrying a small backpack and holding Gigai's hand, she said goodbye to the old madam and others and got into her BMW. The BMW drove all the way to the airport. Xiao Guai asked curiously, "Mommy, why are we at the airport? Are we here to pick someone up?" Xia Dong held her little hand and got out of the car. "Gigai, we're going to Italy to see God-grandfather." Brother E and Daddy aren't they going?" "Yeah, it's just the 2 of us." Hearing this, the little girl stopped in her tracks and pouted pitifully. But I haven't said goodbye to Daddy and my 2 brothers. Xiaodong bent over and looked at her. Gigai, Mommy promises that we'll be back very soon. Oh. Xiao Guai's eyes were filled with tears. She looked very pitiful. Xia, I'm here. Suddenly, Yi Siki's voice sounded. Xiaodong turned around and saw Yi Siki standing not far from them. Yi Siki said again, "Don't move. Wait for me to come over and find you." Soon, Yi Siki crossed the pedestrian crossing and ran over. Xiaodong handed her the keys to the BMW. "Yezi, these are my car keys and the keys to the house. I'll leave them in your care. Okay. Remember to call me when you and Gigai arrive in Italy." Yi Siki reached out and hugged her. Xiaodong nodded vigorously. "I will. Yezi, remember to call me if anything happens to you." "Okay." Yi Siki bent over and hugged Gigai. She kissed her soft cheek and said with a smile, "Gigai, you have to listen to Mommy when you're overseas with me. Get well soon. We'll all miss you very, very much." "I know, Auntie Siki." Xiao Guai kissed her on the cheek obediently. Under Yi Siki's gaze, Xiaodong held Xiao Guai's little hand and walked step by step toward the boarding gate. They found a seat in the first-class cabin. The stewardess helped carry Xiao Guai to the seat and buckled her seatbelt. Her little body leaned against the soft pillows. She wore a cute woolen hat, which made her little face look even cuter. She looked up at Xiaodong and said softly, "Mommy, I miss Daddy, brother and brother E. Gigai, Mommy promises that I'll be back very soon," Xiaodong said gently as she stroked her head. "Okay." Xiao Guai lowered her head unhappily. She didn't understand why Daddy and brother E didn't go with them to Italy. In the afternoon, the butler was ordered to deliver the letter Xiaodong had left for the old madam to her. "Old madam, young madam asked me to give this to you." "Okay." The old madam opened the letter. When she saw the contents, her expression changed drastically. Her fingers trembled as she slammed the letter on the table. She said angrily, "Butler, why are you only giving me the letter now?" The butler was stunned and quickly explained, "Young madam instructed me to give it to you at 5 in the afternoon." The old madam's anger subsided slightly. She waved her hand tiredly and said, "You may leave." "Yes." The butler was confused. He left the room and closed the door. The old madam picked up the letter and carefully read its contents. Her eyes filled with tears. "Grandma, there's something that I've been hiding from everyone. Actually, I wanted to hide it from you, but I was afraid that you would misunderstand, so I decided to tell you. Please keep it from everyone else, including Ahan. More than half a month ago, I was diagnosed with uterine fibroids. The doctor said that if my condition is stable, I can hold on until the baby is around 35 weeks old. Then, I'll have a hysterectomy. Yesterday, I went to the hospital for another checkup. The doctor said that my condition is worsening. Because of my emotional fluctuations and the many things that happened at home, I can't calm down. So, I plan to bring Xiao Guai to Italy. Firstly, it's to nourish the baby. Secondly, it's to treat Xiao Guai's illness. Thirdly, I don't want to agitate Ahan because of my condition. Grandma, I'm leaving today. Please take good care of Xiao Yi, Xiao Bao, and Ahan. Lastly, please take care of yourself. You're the backbone of our family." The old madam read the letter word by word. Tears streamed down her face as she kept saying, "Silly girl, what a silly girl." In the evening, when Bailey Han returned home, Xiaodong didn't wait for him at the door as usual. He quickened his pace and went upstairs. When he opened the door, it was empty. The person he was expecting wasn't there. "Honey." He opened the bathroom door again. It was empty. He glanced around the room and suddenly found a piece of paper on the table. There was a pen on the paper. He strode over and picked up the paper. His expression changed drastically. "Honey, I'm taking Xiao Guai to Italy to visit Godfather. Godfather has arranged the best hospital for Xiao Guai, so we'll stay in Italy until Xiao Guai is cured. Honey, don't worry about us. Godfather will take good care of us. Honey, don't come looking for me. Take good care of Xiao Yi and Xiao Bao and wait for us to come back. Honey, I love you. I love you, my wife." Bailey Han almost stopped breathing. His blood seemed to have stopped flowing. His emotions were extremely complicated. Anger and sadness enveloped him tightly. He gripped the letter tightly. The anger in his heart soared. Damn it. How could she hide it from him and escape abroad with her daughter alone? How could she? Bailey Han was like a furious lion. He slammed his fist on the table and violently pushed everything on the table to the ground. The items rolled all over the floor. He took out his phone and dialed Xiaodong's number. He couldn't suppress his anger and his fingers trembled. A cold female voice responded, "Sorry, the number you have dialed is unavailable." Bang! The phone carried his anger and slammed on the floor. This was the first time he had lost control. He clenched his fists tightly and tried to suppress his anger. He stood there silently for about a minute. Suddenly, he rushed to the landline and dialed a number. "Ahu, I'm leaving for Rome in 2 hours. You're in charge of getting the permit and visa." "Young master, 2 hours is too tight," Bailey Han said coldly. "I don't want to hear any excuses. What I want is results. I'm taking off from the international airport in 2 hours." Bailey's family's private jet rented a tarmac at the international airport. He didn't wait for Ahu to reply and hung up the phone with a bang. Bailey Han strode into the walk-in closet and dragged out his suitcase. He packed his luggage in a hurry. He took a few pieces of clothes and stuffed them into the suitcase. Then, he rummaged through his passport and other documents. The room was in a mess because of him. As a clean freak, he didn't seem to notice it at all. "Ahan, what are you doing?" Old Madame Gu stood at the door with her walking stick. She had asked the butler to keep an eye on Bailey Han. When Bailey Han's car drove into the garage, she received the news. "I'm going to Italy." Bailey Han didn't even raise his head as he hurriedly packed his luggage. When old Madame Gu heard this, she knew that he already knew that Xiaodong was going abroad. She sighed and said, "Ahan, Xiaodong is only going abroad to visit her relatives and treat Xiao Guai. She'll be back soon. Why are you going there now?" Bailey Han closed his suitcase and straightened his body. He stared at old Madame Gu. "Grandma, she's my wife. I can't let her and Xiao Guai be alone abroad. How can I be at ease when a pregnant woman and a child are alone?" "Then you're going to leave our whole family behind?" "Ahan, you're the head of our family. You have to take up the responsibility. Xiaodong has her godfather to take care of her. She'll be fine." Welfare, Xinwu 799. Chapter 240. "Grandma, you don't have to persuade me. I've made up my mind." Bailey Han picked up his suitcase and said, "Grandma, I won't say goodbye to Dad and Mom. Please help me tell them that I'm in a hurry and have to go." "Stop right there." The old lady stomped her crutch and blocked the door. "I won't allow you to leave." "Grandma, please make way." Bailey Han's tall figure stood in front of the old lady and confronted her. "No matter what, I'm going to Italy today." "Then you'll have to step over my dead body." The old lady stared at him coldly with a gloomy face. "Grandma, don't force me." Bailey Han frowned. The old lady snorted. "Then let me ask you. Do you know where Xiaodong is in Italy? Italy is so big and you're not familiar with the place. How are you going to find her?" Bailey Han's eyes narrowed. "I know that Tomac is in Rome. Xiaodong will definitely go to find him. Do you think Rome is still small?" The old lady glared at him. "You're an adult, but you're still so impulsive. Do you think Rome is City a place where you can do whatever you want?" Bailey Han was impatient and didn't think deeply. Now that he was scolded by the old lady, he felt quite uncomfortable. His thin lips were pursed and his face was cold. The old lady's tone softened. "I'm not stopping you from finding Xiaodong. But if you go to Italy rashly, not only will you not be able to find Xiaodong, but you'll also be wasting time and energy. How about this? You can find a way to find Tomac's whereabouts in the country first. For example, Mika Kito. Isn't he Tomac's adopted son? He must know where Tomac lives. When you find the place, you can go and pick up Xiaodong and her mother." Bailey Han's thin lips were pursed and he remained silent. The old lady struck while the iron was hot. "As for Yun Qian, you have to visit her in the hospital every day. You can't leave her alone." Bailey Han clenched his fists and said calmly, "I won't go there anymore.
The old madam was shocked.
What do you mean? I want to find Xia Dong's whereabouts.
I won't go to the hospital again.
Bailey Han knew very well that Xia Dong suddenly took her daughter to Italy. It must have something to do with Su Yunqian. Su Yunqian stabbed her hand, and the whole family persuaded her to forgive Su Yunqian. She must be very sad. Bailey Han felt that he was such a jerk that he didn't speak up for her. He wanted to slap himself a few times. The family members came home one after another. When they heard that Xia Dong took Xiao Guai to Italy, everyone was shocked, including Xiao Yi and Xiao Bao. The two of them even pretended to cry, crying for mommy. Bailey Han's heart ached. He hugged them tightly, one in each hand, and promised them that he would bring their mommy back. He didn't know that at an angle that he couldn't see, Xiao Yi and Xiao Bao were pinching each other's arms and looking at each other with disdain. Hey, we've overacted, bro. Late at night, standing in the empty room, Bailey Han didn't feel sleepy at all. He still couldn't believe that Xia Dong actually left him. Although she said it was to visit family and to treat Xiao Guai's illness, he knew that she left because she was heartbroken. Otherwise, she wouldn't have acted first and reported later. She was acting so strangely last night. He should have noticed that something was wrong. It. He was so annoyed and hated himself to the extreme. Bailey Han lay in bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. His mind was filled with Xia Dong's figure. He was worried about the baby in her stomach, worried about Xiao Guai's health, and worried about whether they could withstand the long-distance flight. In the end, he simply sat up from the bed, turned on his phone, and called her number. Her phone was still turned off, so she might still be on the plane. He wrote a text message after text message, but he felt that it was inappropriate, so he deleted all of them and wrote a new one. In the end, he only sent a short sentence, "Honey, I miss you so much." It was past 7 o'clock in the evening in Rome. The plane arrived at its destination. Xia Dong woke Xiao Guai up from her sleep. The mother and daughter held hands and set foot on this foreign land. At the exit, a man in a black suit was holding a large sign with the words, Xia Dong, written in Chinese. Xia Dong held Xiao Guai's hand and walked over unhurriedly. She smiled and said in Italian, "Hello, I'm Xia Dong. Miss, my name is Andrew. Welcome to Rome."
The blonde foreign man revealed a bright smile.
This must be Miss Gigai. So cute. Xiao Guai raised her cute little face and smiled sweetly.
She also said in Italian, "Thank you, uncle."
Andrew smiled and said, "Miss, let me help you with your luggage. Our car is waiting outside the airport. Please follow me." "Okay, sorry to trouble you." Xia Dong held Xiao Guai's hand and followed beside him. After exiting the airport lobby, they walked for about 50 meters. A Rolls-Royce stopped by the roadside. When the group of people saw them, someone immediately got out of the car and opened the door. He bowed respectfully and said, "Miss, Little Mississippi." Xia Dong smiled and responded. Andrew carried Xiao Guai into the car. Xia Dong also bent down and got in. The car started. Xia Dong took out her phone from her handbag. After turning it on, she saw messages from Yi Siki and Bailey Han. Yi Siki asked, "Have you arrived?" Xia Dong replied, "I just got off the plane. I'll call you after I change my SIM card." Xia Dong opened Bailey Han's message. He said, "Honey, I miss you very much." She sniffled and tears welled up in her eyes. Her fingers trembled. After a long while, she finally wrote, "Hubby, Gigai and I are doing well. We miss you very much too. Wait for me to come back." Beep beep. Her phone rang. Bailey Han had stayed up all night waiting for this moment. He quickly took the phone from beside his pillow and turned it on. When he saw Xia Dong's reply, he calmed down and immediately dialed her number. When she saw that it was Bailey Han calling, Xia Dong hesitated for a moment before answering. She put the phone to her ear and did not speak. On the other end, Bailey Han did not speak either. Xiao Guai tugged at her sleeve and asked in a childish voice, "Mommy, is that Daddy calling?" Xia Dong bit her lip and said softly, "Hubby, Gigai wants to talk to you." "Okay." His voice sounded extremely low. "Daddy, I miss you so much." Xiao Guai picked up the phone and cried. Hearing his daughter's cries, Bailey Han's heart was about to break. "Gigai, don't cry. Daddy misses you too. Tell Daddy, where are you and Mommy now? Xiao Guai wiped the tears on her face with the back of her hand and sobbed. I don't know. We just got off the plane. Mommy said that we were going to God-grandfather's house. Bailey Han asked, Does Gigai know where God-grandfather lives? I don't remember the name. Xiao Guai was a child after all. Although she could understand simple Italian and speak a few sentences, it was still difficult for her to remember the complicated names of places. Bailey Han said gently, It's okay. Daddy will definitely find Gigai and Mommy. Xiao Guai nodded heavily. After comforting her daughter for a while, the phone returned to Xia Dong's hand. Her voice was a little dry. Hubby, don't come looking for me. After I give birth to the baby and Xiao Guai has the surgery, we'll go back. Bailey Han had a lot to say and a lot of questions to ask her, but when he really faced her, he only said one sentence. Honey, take good care of yourself and Xiao Guai. I love you. Xia Dong's tears rolled down from her eyes. She choked and said, I love you too. There was a beeping sound from the phone. International roaming and long-distance calls were ridiculously expensive. Her phone was out of money. She took a deep breath and said softly, Hubby, my phone is almost out of money. I'll hang up first. Okay. Bai Li Han had originally planned to end the call first, and then he would immediately help her top up the phone bill. Unexpectedly, after he had done so, he could no longer get through to her phone. She was like a kite, disappearing from his world. The Rolls-Royce sped on the road at a very fast speed. About an hour later, it drove out of the city and turned into a remote road. After driving for nearly half an hour, a tall iron gate and a seemingly endless tall wall appeared in front of them. The car drove into a manor that looked like a forest park. A tall European castle appeared in front of them. The whole castle was brightly lit, and the inside of the manor was also lit up to welcome the arrival of Xia Dong and her daughter. This was the Ortan Manor. Nominally, it was the territory of a British earl. In fact, the boss was the Kingdom of Tomac, the father of the Italian mafia. The manor was very spacious. After the big iron gate was opened, a long welcome road led to the castle. Uniformed guards stood on both sides of the road and bowed respectfully when the Rolls-Royce passed by. The car stopped at the entrance of the castle, and two teams of uniformed servants were already waiting for them. Andrew got out of the car first and opened the door for Xia Dong. Andrew bent down and carried Xiao Guai out of the car. Another bodyguard stepped forward and held Xia Dong's hand as they walked out of the car. Mademoiselle, little mademoiselle, welcome back. The servants greeted them in perfect Italian. Thank you. Xia Dong responded with a smile. A white-haired foreign man in his 50s said with a smile, Little miss, you're finally back. Robert, long time no see. Xia Dong smiled and hugged him. Yes, we haven't seen each other for a year. Little miss has grown so tall. Robert sighed. His eyes fell on her belly and he exclaimed, Oh, miss, the baby is so big. Yes, that's why I came to Rome to wait for delivery. Xia Dong smiled and shrugged. Little miss, the boss has been waiting for you for a long time. Let's go in first. Robert was Tomac's most trusted subordinate and also his right-hand man. The interior of the castle was astonishingly large. The decoration was a combination of Chinese and Western. Amid the extravagance of the aristocracy, there was a strong Oriental flavor, noble and elegant. Robert and Xia Dong walked in front, while Andrew carried Xiao Guai and walked behind them. They passed through the spacious hall, walked up the quaint and elegant stairs, stepped on the thick Persian carpet, passed through the corridor hung with oil paintings, and finally stopped in front of two heavy oak doors. Attention, Song Shu 566. Chapter 241. Robert smiled and said, Miss, the boss is in the study. Okay, thank you. Xia Dong held the doorknob and pushed the door open. The first thing she saw was rows of wooden bookshelves. Rather than calling it a study, it was more appropriate to call it a small library. It was at least 200 to 300 square meters in size. The fragrance of ink permeated the entire room. The huge floor-to-ceiling windows were covered by thick curtains. A tall wooden table was placed in front of 2 rows of ancient bookshelves, and a tall figure sat in front of the table. He was about 60 years old, with a head full of silver hair and a few wrinkles at the corners of his eyes. He had light blue eyes and a high nose bridge. The tip of his nose was slightly curved downwards. When he was not smiling, he looked a little cold. Although this face was full of vicissitudes of life, it could not hide his charming charm. He was Tomac, the person who made the entire Italian mafia tremble in fear. He single-handedly founded the world's largest firearms organization, the Dark Knight. Tomac stood up. "Look who's here, my lovely Xia and Gigai." He opened his arms with a bright smile on his face. Godfather, God-grandfather, Xiaodong and Xiaoguai both walked towards him, one hugging his waist and the other hugging his leg. "You two little things, you haven't come to see me for so long. This old man is very lonely." Tomac patted Xiaodong's back, then bent down to pick up Xiaoguai. He rubbed his cheek against her cute little face and said in fluent Chinese, "Gigai, do you miss God-grandfather?" "Yes." Xiaoguai loudly kissed Tomac's cheek and nodded heavily. Tomac beamed. "How much do you miss him?" "Very, very much. I miss him so much that my hair is about to fall out." Xiaoguai playfully patted the little hat on her head and cutely stuck out her tongue. Tomac laughed heartily. "Little one, you're becoming more and more glib, just like your brother. But I like it very much." Godfather quickly put Xiaoguai down. "Don't tire yourself out." Tomac glared at her. Xia, I'm not an ordinary old man. Gigai's weight can't crush me." All right, I know you're amazing. Please sit down." Xia Dong held his shoulders and pushed him into the chair. She also sat down on the sofa beside him. "Godfather, I haven't seen you in so long. How are you?" "Very good. I even fought with the old man from the Fair family some time ago." Tomac proudly showed off. "Of course I won." That old man bowed and admitted defeat on the spot. "Foster father, you're really vigorous despite your age." Tomac liked Eastern culture very much. He could understand the idioms used by Xiaodong, and he also liked to use idioms. "Of course, I was invincible back in the day." He couldn't stop talking about the things that had happened in the past. The three of them talked about a lot of happy things. Xiaoguai was a little sleepy, so Tomac asked the butler to send the mother and son to their room to rest. During breakfast the next day, Tomac asked about Bailey Han. Xiaodong looked at Xiaoguai and then explained her current situation in Italian. Tomac didn't say anything and directly asked someone to contact the hospital to send Xiaoguai in 2 days. As for Xiaodong, he also asked someone to contact the best doctor to treat her. Tomac smiled kindly. Xia, did you mention to Ashan that you came to Rome?" Xiaodong shook her head. "I haven't told him yet." "That's your fault. If Ashan finds out that you came to me, he'll definitely be angry with you." Xiaodong smiled bitterly. "I don't want to. I just don't know how to face him. Moreover, I don't want to trouble him anymore." Tomac looked serious. "You're wrong. Even if you don't accept Ashan's feelings, you're still friends who are as close as siblings. You're also my family. There's no trouble between family members. This relationship that's thicker than blood should be maintained." Xiaodong was stunned. Her foster father was right. She liked to escape too much, and it insulted the relationship between her and Mika Kito. She said solemnly, "Foster father, I know what to do." Tomac smiled gently. "Very good. I've always thought highly of the two of you. I hope that the two of you can be as close as siblings in the future." Xiaodong's eyes were a little sore. She still remembered that not long after she and Mika Kito went to Japan, she signed up for a Japanese class at night in order to adapt to Japan as soon as possible. One night, when she returned home from class, she met an injured foreign old man in a dark alley. She saved the old man without hesitation. She carried him on her back and walked a kilometer to send him to the hospital. After that, Mika Kito found out that the old man she saved was Tomac, and Tomac was being chased by his enemies. Mika Kito didn't abandon them. Instead, she used the power of the Sanku group to protect them. Later, Tomac adopted Mika Kito and Xiaodong as his foster children. He didn't have any children of his own, only a nephew. He treated them like his own children. Under his instructions, the entire family respectfully addressed them as young master, and Mississippi Xiaodong had spent her days in Rome, just like a princess in a fairy tale. She had also obtained the fatherly love that she had lost for many years from Tomac, so she had always respected and loved him like a father. Tomac waved his hand, and Robert walked forward with a tray in both hands. Tomac reached out, picked up the keys on the tray, and placed them in front of Xia Dong. He smiled and said, Xia, I didn't prepare a gift for you when you got married, so I'll make it up to you now. These are the keys to a villa and a car. The villa is near the hospital where Gigai is staying, so it'll be convenient for you to take care of her. Thank you, foster father. Xia Dong hugged him emotionally. Silly girl. Tomac sighed. I haven't seen you for a year, and I didn't expect so many things to happen. Gigai has grown a lot taller, and you're married. It seems that I'm really old. No, you're not old at all. Otherwise, how could Uncle Sam be defeated by you? Sam was the person that Tomac had mentioned last night. He was the head of the Phil family. Tomac laughed loudly. After breakfast, Andrew drove Xia Dong and Xiao Guai to the hospital that they had booked. The hospital was located in the suburbs, and the transportation was convenient. The surrounding environment was very good, and the high-class ward was very luxurious. It was many times better than the hospitals in China. The lobby of the public area was like the living room of a luxurious villa, luxuriously decorated. Xia Dong chatted with the attending doctor about Xiao Guai's condition. After learning about the various facilities in the hospital, she was very satisfied. She planned to send Xiao Guai in 2 days. After walking out of the hospital, Andrew drove them through a block and parked the car in front of a detached villa. He smiled and introduced, Miss, this is the villa that boss bought for you. The villa was very beautiful. It was decorated in a European style, with a garden and a swimming pool. There was a brand new luxury car parked in the garage. Xia Dong was very moved. Andrew, help me thank foster father. I like the gift. Okay, Mississippi. Andrew left 2 bodyguards to secretly protect Xia Dong and Xiao Guai. He drove back to the castle to report. There were 2 maids in the villa, both of whom had been transferred from the castle by Tomac. They had undergone strict training and were quite skilled. They had already tidied up the villa. It was as if they were invisible. Whenever there was a need, they would immediately appear in front of him. Xia Dong stood on the balcony and watched the maids busy downstairs in the garden. She took out the new phone that Andrew had prepared for her and dialed a number. Who is this? Mika Quito saw the area code and knew that the call was from Italy, so she deliberately used Italian. Xia Dong paused and said in Chinese, Brother Shen, it's me. Why did you go to Italy? Mika Quito frowned. She was already more than 5 months pregnant. Why was she still running around? Xia Dong smiled. I'm here to wait for the delivery. Foster father has already arranged the best hospital for Xiao Guai. Mika Quito's eyes moved. She said in a deep voice, Did Bailey Han go with you? No. Did you have a conflict with him? No. He frowned and suppressed his anger in his voice. If not, why did you suddenly go to Italy? Can you bear to part with Xiao Yi and Xiao Bao? Tell me the truth. Xia Dong scratched the balcony with her fingers. I'm just a little tired, so I came here to relax. Brother Shin, please don't ask any more, okay? She could hear his heavy breathing over the phone. Xia Dong could imagine him trying to suppress his anger at this moment. She said coquettishly as usual, Brother Shen, don't be angry. When you get angry, I'm in a bad mood. I'm pregnant now. The baby can feel my feelings. Damn it. He wanted to fly to her side immediately, knock on her forehead, and ask her what was going on in her head. Mika Quito said slowly, Okay, I'm not angry anymore. She smiled. Brother Shin, you're so nice. Mika Quito pursed her lips. After a while she said, Idiot. Xia Dong smiled, but her eyes were covered with a layer of mist. She said softly, Brother Shen, if Bailey Han asks you about my whereabouts, you have to keep it a secret for me. Mika Quito paused for a moment and said, Okay. Something must have happened between her and Bailey Han. It was just that she didn't want to tell him, so he didn't force her. Bailey Han was a man of his word. The next day, he refused to visit Su Yunqian at the hospital and focused all his attention on finding out Xia Dong's whereabouts. It was useless even if Su Yunqian made a scene, refused to eat, and refused to eat. No matter how many times Mrs. Su called Bailey Han, he refused and then asked Old Madam to deal with it. Old Madam knew that he was thinking about Xia Dong now, so she didn't make things difficult for him and decisively shouldered this heavy responsibility. It had been a week. It had been a whole week. Bailey Han didn't have any news about Xia Dong. He tried everything to contact her on her phone, email, MSA, and even the game she used to play. However, it was as if she had disappeared from the face of the earth. There was no trace of her. The people he sent to track her down also didn't have any information. Bailey Han was going crazy. Add Song Shu 566. Chapter 242. Bailey Han had become gloomy and cold, as if he had just been fished out of an ice cellar. His entire body exuded a chilling aura. The employees of the company were all treading on thin ice as they lived in fear. Even at home, he was stingy and refused to smile. Only when he was facing Xiao Bao and Xiao Yi would his eyes show some warmth. His family had seen his changes. Not only were they worried about Xia Dong and Xiao Guai, but they were also worried about his condition. The entire old mansion was shrouded in a gloomy atmosphere. Bailey Han barged into the CEO's office of the Bo AO Group aggressively. Mika Kito looked at him coldly. "What are you doing here?" Bailey Han stared into his eyes. "Tell me where Xia Dong is." "I haven't come to you yet, and you still have the cheek to ask me. Tell me, why did Xia run away from home? Did you do something wrong to her?" Mika Kito suddenly rushed over and grabbed Bailey Han's collar, her eyes blazing with anger. Bailey Han turned a deaf ear to his question and persistently asked, "Tell me, where in Italy is Xia Dong?" "You bastard!" Mika Kito waved her fist and punched him in the face. Bailey Han quickly dodged and quickly grabbed the fist that was swinging at him again. His eyes were burning with anger. "Mika Kito, let me ask you, where is Xia Dong?" "If you want to know the answer, ask my fist first." The two men's arms were pressed against each other's necks. Their murderous gazes intertwined, and they couldn't wait to kill each other. They had been fighting for nearly half an hour, and the office was a mess. Both of them had different degrees of injuries on their bodies. Their clothes were messy and there was blood at the corners of their lips. However, the aura they exuded was still strong and cold, and their bloodthirsty eyes stared at each other furiously. Bailey Han's thin lips tightened. "Where exactly is Xia Dong?" The veins on Mika Kito's forehead throbbed. She could not help but curse. "I don't have King no either. Get out of here." Bailey Han stared fixedly into Bai Tang Tang's eyes as if he wanted to penetrate deep into Bai Tang Tang's heart. Bai Tang Shen also glared fiercely at Bailey Han. The two of them did not want to give in to each other. After 2 to 3 minutes of stalemate, Bailey Han suddenly pushed his arm away and said coldly, "I will definitely find her." Mika Kito sneered. "Since you have the ability to hurt her and force her to leave, why are you looking for her?" "Shut up. You don't understand anything at all." Bailey Han's eyes were red with anger. "Humph, I only know that if it were me, no matter what, I would not harm her to this extent." Bailey Han retorted. "It's a pity that Xia did not choose you." Mika Kito's anger suddenly soared. Like a furious lion, she wanted to pounce on him and tear him to pieces. However, she did not act. Instead, she dialed the internal line and said coldly, "Zhang Dao, please ask the guest to leave." The next second, the office door opened. Zhang Dao reached out and gestured for him to leave. "Mr. Bailey, please." Bailey Han straightened his clothes expressionlessly. Like a domineering and arrogant king, he walked out of the office with an aura of disdain for the world. Mika Kito was not lying. Xia Dong did not tell him where she lived. However, it was not difficult for him to find out where she lived. He only needed to call Tomac and he would know her whereabouts. However, he did not do so. Bailey Han was not the only one who was furious. Su Yunqian was also furious. She originally thought that after forcing Xia Dong away, Bailey Han would treat her wholeheartedly. She did not expect him to be so heartless. He did not care about her feelings at all and completely abandoned her in the hospital. For an entire week, he did not come to see her. Even when she called him, he gave her a perfunctory attitude. Even when she went on a hunger strike and tried to commit suicide, he did not care about her. This made her extremely disappointed and angry. She gritted her teeth in anger. She grabbed the porcelain vase with fresh flowers on the table and was about to smash it. However, She thought about it and put it down. This was a gift from Xiao Yi. She was counting on this broken vase to make a good impression in front of Bailey Han. When she was the only one left in the ward, she carefully checked the corridor outside and locked the door. She changed her SIM card and called a string of empty numbers. A minute later, her phone rang. The caller ID showed that it was a blocked number. A man's deep laughter came from the other end of the line. "What's wrong? Do you miss me?" Su Yunqian held back her disgusting desire and said coldly, "Godfather, I want to talk about serious business." "Oh, what serious business? You finally managed to trick Bailey Han?" "Not yet." Su Yunqian frowned. Things were going very smoothly. I had already gained everyone's trust. However, ever since Xia Dong ran away from home, things started to get out of hand. Bailey Han suddenly changed his attitude towards me. Didn't you say that if you let him see you being raped with his own eyes, he would feel guilty? Then you could use him to arouse his love for you. Why did he suddenly change? He doesn't feel guilty anymore? When Su Yunqian heard him mention the matter of rape, her beautiful eyes instantly burst out with bone-deep hatred. Her fingers trembled in anger as she coldly said, "Don't mention the matter of rape to me again, you bastard. Didn't we agree to put on an act? You actually dared to use force on me." The godfather's eyes were cold, and his lips curled into a sneer. "I'm just trying to make the show more realistic. We're facing millions of people. If we're not careful, they'll see through us. I think you are waiting for an opportunity to take revenge." Su Yunqian was so angry that she was about to vomit blood. "You said that the scars could be faked and the rape could be faked. Then what happened? You actually let people hit me for real." The scars on her body were all caused by her godfather's subordinates. At that time, that hateful man even comforted her, saying that it was just for the sake of making the act more realistic. Her godfather proudly raised his eyebrows, but the words that came out of his mouth were very calm. "Don't get agitated. I have already explained that it was for the sake of making the act more realistic. After all, Bailey Han and the others are not to be trifled with. If the scars were fake, they would have been able to analyze it through technology. If you didn't really suffer a huge blow, how could you act so realistically as a mental patient? Am I right?" Su Yunqian's chest rapidly rose and fell. She understood that what he said made sense, but the main reason was that Bastard was using his position to avenge private wrongs. She had always been the one to abuse men. Since when did that stinking man dare to abuse her? That damned godfather. One day she would make him pay the price. However, right now, she still had a use for him. She couldn't completely break up with him. She took a deep breath and slowly exhaled. She said calmly, "All right, let's not talk about that anymore. Back to the main topic. I heard that Xia Dong went to Italy. I know who she is looking for and I can also find out where she lives. However, it's not convenient for my men to do it. I want you to go to Italy to deal with her." Her godfather sneered. "Since your men can find out where she is, why don't you do it? I remember that our agreement was to force Xia Dong out of Bailey's house before I do it. Now that you have forced her out of the country, this is beyond my expectations." Su Yunqian snorted coldly. "No matter what, she has left Bailey's house. Didn't you want to use her to deal with Mika Kito? This is a good opportunity." Her godfather was cunning. "I don't think it's that easy. Mika Kito is Tomac's adopted son. Tomac's nest is in Italy. You're sending me to the muzzle of a gun." Su Yunqian sneered. "Don't you have a lot of people who work for you? I know that you have connections with the Italian mafia. Tomac's Dark Knight family also has conflicts with other mafia families. Why don't you take advantage of their conflicts? Do you still need to do it yourself?" Her godfather's eyes narrowed. "I didn't expect you to know so many things." Su Yunqian chuckled. "It's useless no matter how much I know. I'm a woman after all. There are many things that I can't do. As a collaborator, aren't you willing to help me? I still need to think about this matter." "All right, I can only give you 1 day to think about it. Otherwise, when Bailey Han finds Xia Dong and brings her back to China, everything we have done will be in vain." Her godfather replied faintly, "Wait for my news." After ending the call, Su Yunqian leaned against the sofa. Her eyes were filled with hatred. She was about to make another call when the door suddenly rang. Yunqian, it's Mommy. Why did you lock yourself in? It's okay, Mommy. Su Yunqian rubbed her eyes to make herself look haggard. Then, she opened the door. Mrs. Su saw her daughter's red eyes and couldn't help but feel sorry for her. Mommy, is Han still not willing to visit me? What did I do wrong? Su Yunqian hugged Mrs. Su and sobbed. Yunqian, good girl. Don't be sad. Han is too busy to visit you. Mrs. Su gently patted her daughter's back and lied kindly. Mommy, but I really want to see him. Hearing this, Xiao Bao and Xiao Yi couldn't hold back their anger anymore. The two little guys roared together, bad woman, bad woman. So annoying. The listening device hidden in the vase transmitted every word Su Yunqian said to their ears. Knowing that Su Yunqian set a trap to hurt their mommy, they really wanted to immediately rush over and beat her up. Xiao Yi's face darkened. This damn woman is too evil. Luckily, Mommy went to Italy. Otherwise, she and Godfather would definitely set her up again. This time, we'll let everyone know her true colors. That detestable old witch. Xiao Bao gritted his teeth and said, although Grandpa is in Italy and will definitely protect Mommy, we still can't let our guard down. Continue to eavesdrop. All right, we still have to report the situation here to Grandpa. Attention, Hongcha 866. Chapter 243. Because of Mrs. Su's interruption, Su Yunqian did not contact anyone from the outside world. The two little guys waited for an entire day and did not get any useful information. After Mrs. Su left, Su Yunqian originally planned to make another call, but the caregiver was in the ward the whole time, so she changed to sending a text message. The text message said in English, "Darling, that woman has gone to Italy. Help me find out where she is. I know it's not convenient for you to do it, but I'll find an idiot to do it." Soon, she received a reply. No problem. I'll get back to you when I have news. Su Yunqian unhurriedly deleted the message in her phone and replaced it with another SIM card. In the evening, Xiao Bao reported what he had eavesdropped to Tomac. At this time, it was noon in Rome. Xia Dong was accompanying Tomac for lunch. Robert came over with the phone and said respectfully, "Boss, young Master Bao is calling." "Give it to me." Tomac wiped his hands with a napkin and took the phone. "God, Grandfather, this is Xiao Bao. Is my mother with you?" A young voice came from the receiver. Tomac laughed loudly. "Little rascal, are you calling for me or your mother?" "Of course I'm looking for you. But this matter has something to do with my mother, so it's good that she's here. Hee. Tell me, what's going on?" The old man's curiosity was piqued. Xiao Bao told Tomac everything he had eavesdropped and said, "God, Grandfather, my mother and father have been deceived by that bad woman Su Yunqian. You must protect my mother well. If she loses a single hair, I'll run to Rome and pull out all your hair." Tomac's deep blue eyes flashed with a trace of shrewdness. He smiled and said, "Little rascal, don't worry. God Grandfather treasures his white hair very much." Okay, then it's settled. I'll let you know when there's more news." The grandfather and granddaughter chatted for a while. Finally, the phone was handed over to Xia Dong. Xiao Bao said, "Mom, I've already told God Grandfather. Su Yunqian, that bad woman, had it all planned out. She cooperated with Godfather and pretended to be kidnapped and raped in order to destroy your relationship with Dad and force you out of the house." Xia Dong had already guessed some things from their conversation just now. After learning the details, she was startled and said, "I didn't expect that I would still follow her wishes in the end." Xiao Bao whined, "It's none of your business. It's all that bad woman's fault. Mom, although I also feel that Dad is in the wrong, you can punish him for a few days, but don't punish him for too long. Otherwise, when you come back, you will see Skeleton Dad." Xia Dong was startled. "What do you mean?" Xiao Bao sighed. "What I mean is that Dad misses you so much that he falls ill every day. He puts all his effort into tracking down your whereabouts. He doesn't eat well, doesn't rest well, and has lost a lot of weight." Xia Dong gripped the phone tightly. "You guys persuade him." "We have, but Dad won't listen." Xiao Bao sighed helplessly. The veins on the back of Xiaodong's hand bulged. She was silent for a long time before she said, I can't see him for the time being. Mom, are you still angry with Dad? Although Dad is indeed quite hateful. Xiaodong calmed down for a moment and chuckled. I'm not angry anymore. Xiao Bao, keep an eye on Daddy. Don't let him be seduced by another woman. Xiao Bao patted his chest loudly. Don't worry. Leave this to me. Just as Xiao Bao hung up the phone, Xiaoyi suddenly ran into his room and said, Su Yunqian just received a call from Godfather. Xiao Bao was shocked. What did they talk about? From what I heard, Godfather agreed to the bad woman's suggestion. The bad woman even sent him Mommy's current address. Xiao Bao frowned. How did the bad woman know Mommy's address? Only a few people on God-grandfather's side know Mommy's current address. I think it's strange too. You should quickly report this to God-grandfather. Xiaoyi thought for a moment and said, Now it's time to tell Daddy. Let Daddy find Mommy before Godfather and bring her back to China. Otherwise, if anything happens to Mommy, it'll be too late for us to regret it. Xiao Bao sighed maturely. His eyebrows were knitted together and he spread his hands. I have a feeling that I'm going to be in trouble. Do you think Dad will hang me up and beat me up if he finds out that I put a tracker in Mom's necklace only to tell him now? Xiao Yi's mouth twitched. He said expressionlessly, You're overthinking it. Xiao Bao reached out and put his arm around his shoulder. Come with me. If Dad really hangs me up and beats me up, you can at least hug his legs and cry and beg him to let me go. Xiao Yi's mouth twitched even more. He only said 2 words. Get lost. The 2 little guys swayed their little buttocks as they walked to Bailey Han's room. Bailey Han was sitting behind his desk, his fingers typing furiously on the computer keyboard. They didn't know what he was busy with. When he heard their voices, he looked up and his cold lips curved slightly. What's the matter? Xiao Yi poked Xiao Bao's little arm with her finger. Xiao Bao, don't you have something to tell Daddy? Xiao Bao scratched his head and smiled foolishly. Yeah, Daddy. I have something to report to you. Xiao Bao was smart. Once he spoke respectfully to an elder, he must be up to something or had done something wrong. Bailey Han smiled and said, Come closer. Oh! The 2 little meatballs shuffled over to him. He bent down and patted their heads. He said gently, Tell me what's the matter? During this period of time, he was busy looking for a wife and didn't even have time to take care of his sons. He felt a little guilty. Xiao Bao coughed and grabbed his hair with his little hand. Daddy, if I say that I suddenly remembered that I put a small tracking device in Mom's necklace, will you beat me up? Bailey Han's heart suddenly jumped. He grabbed Xiao Bao's tender shoulders tightly and said in a deep voice, Xiao Bao, what did you say? Say it again. Xiao Bao looked bitter. Daddy, I actually know where Mom is. Don't hit me. That's great, that's great. Bailey Han suddenly picked Xiao Bao up and spun him a few times in the air. Then he threw him high into the air. Xiao Bao was so scared that he screamed. He thought that his head was going to make intimate contact with the floor. His falling body suddenly fell into a pair of strong arms. Xiao Bao hugged Bailey Han's neck tightly and gasped for breath. It was so scary. His ecstatic father was too scary. Xiao Bao, tell me quickly. Where is your mommy? Bailey Han quickly asked his son after his ecstasy. Xiao Bao recited a long list of foreign street names. Xiao Bao, you're awesome. Bailey Han rubbed his pink cheeks and put him down. Bailey Han was ecstatic as he made plans. He had already asked Ahu to prepare a visa and a plane parking permit. He could immediately leave for Rome tonight. Xiao Yi and Xiao Bao watched him hurriedly pack his luggage and decided to disturb his mood. Xiao Bao poked Xiao Yi's arm with his finger, indicating that it was his turn. Xiao Yi walked behind Bailey Han with small steps and tugged at his clothes. Daddy, there's one more thing I want to tell you. Bailey Han was in a good mood and a smile appeared on his face again. What is it? Xiao Yi took out a small recording pen from her pocket and handed it to him. Daddy, this thing has something to do with you and Mommy. He and Xiao Bao had recorded evidence of their crimes on the day they eavesdropped. Bailey Han took the recording pen suspiciously. After he turned it on, he heard Su Yunqian and his godfather talking on the phone. Although he could only hear Su Yunqian's voice, he understood everything. He clenched his hands tightly. He could not believe that what he had heard was true. How did you get this thing? Xiao Yi said, Xiao Bao and I placed a listening device in the pottery vase and asked you to give the vase to Su Yunqian. Today, we heard this conversation. The children would not lie and would not deliberately frame Su Yunqian. There was only one possibility, and that was that Su Yunqian had really done something unforgivable. Xiao Yi continued, Daddy, Godfather has already agreed to Su Yunqian's conditions. He will soon rush to Italy and it will be detrimental to Mommy. Bailey Han's eyes were filled with anger and hatred. Damn it, their goal was actually to target Xia Xia. Xia Xia must be facing an unknown danger now. He had to get to her side as soon as possible. Bailey Han hurriedly packed his luggage and said in a low voice, Xiao Yi Xiao Bao, Daddy will go to Italy tonight. Gi Gai and you stay at home and listen to me. Before I come back, pretend that you don't know anything. I will deal with Su Yunqian and Godfather when I come back. Xiao Bao puffed up his cheeks and said unhappily, but I want everyone to see Su Yunqian's true colors as soon as possible. Bailey Han said calmly, now is not the time. We don't know the power behind her. If we expose her rashly and force her into a corner, she may do something even more dangerous. So don't touch her for the time being and wait for me to come back. Xiao Yi nodded heavily. Yes, that's right. Use her to draw out the power behind her. It's best to uproot them. You did well. I'll leave now. You can tell your great-grandmother tomorrow morning. Bailey Han was worried that the old madam would stop him, so he decided to act first and report later. Okay, Daddy, go quickly. The two children said in unison. Bailey Han patted their heads, picked up his luggage, and hurried downstairs. Soon, a Rolls-Royce rushed out of the manor in the night and sped all the way to the airport. In the car, Bailey Han had already contacted Ahu and brought the 5 best brothers in the gang to fly to Rome with him. Welfare, Song Shu 566. Chapter 244. Rome. Late at night. Xia Dong leaned against the headboard with a tablet computer on her lap. Every night before she went to bed, she would check her emails. The emails in her inbox were all sent by Bailey Han. There were already 8 emails, one every day, but she never replied. In the first email, he asked where she was. He said he was very worried about her and missed her. In the second email, he apologized to her and said he would never visit Su Yunqian in the hospital again. He even asked where she was. In the third email, he said he was going crazy and couldn't bear to be without her. In the 7th email, he said he went to Mika Kito's place to ask about her whereabouts. He had a fight with Mika Kito. He said he missed her and loved her. When Xia Dong saw this email last night, she couldn't help but click on the reply button and write a short reply. However, after hesitating for a long time, she still clicked cancel. The latest email showed that it was sent at 9:00 p.m. Beijing time and 1:00 p.m. Rome time. Xia Dong opened the email. It said, Honey, this is the 8th day since you left me. To me, it's like 8 years. Every night, I lie on the bed that belongs to the two of us and my mind is filled with you. Honey, I've been very obedient when you're not around. I've never looked at other women because you're the only one left in my heart and eyes. Honey, I miss you very much. Xia Dong had a smile on her face. Tears welled up in her eyes as she murmured, Honey, I miss you very much too. She couldn't help but read all the emails again. Finally, she turned off the computer and lay on the bed to sleep. At 2:00 a.m. in the morning, Bailey Han's private jet landed at the airport in Rome. He rushed to Xia Dong's villa as fast as he could. Bailey Han's car drove to the entrance of the villa. Ahu, who was in the driver's seat, gestured to the electronic monitor. The gate slowly opened and the car smoothly drove in. On the way to Rome, Bailey Han had already contacted Tomac through the number given to him by Xiao Bao and obtained permission to enter the villa. As soon as they got out of the car, a maid came over and said in English, Miss is resting. Please don't disturb her. Bailey Han said in a deep voice, Ahu, all of you stay here and be on high alert. He followed the maid into the living room. When the maid led him to the guest room, he stopped. Take me to the master bedroom. The maid smiled. Sir, Miss is already resting. Please don't disturb her rest. Bailey Han narrowed his eyes and said in a deep voice, Xiaodong is my wife. Call her madam from now on. Take me to the master bedroom. The maid said politely, Sorry, I only take orders from Miss and Boss. Boss said that no one is allowed to disturb Mrs. Rest. The boss that the maid was referring to was Xiaodong. Bailey Han's lips were tightly pursed. His whole body was emitting a cold aura. He said coldly, I just want to see if she's okay. I promise I won't disturb her. It was clearly a negotiation, but when he said it, he was full of arrogance. The maid was not moved at all. She smiled. I'm sorry, but I can't agree. Sir, please come with me. She extended her hand and made an inviting gesture. Bailey Han's hawk-like eyes quickly scanned the entire floor. He memorized the layout of the rooms in his heart. Bailey Han followed behind the maid, and the two of them stopped at the door of the guest room. Just as the maid was about to press the door handle, Bailey Han suddenly made a move and struck the back of her head with his palm. The maid fell to the ground with a thud. Bailey Han looked up at the surveillance camera on the ceiling. He said coldly in English, Take her back to her room. He walked past the maid and found the master bedroom. He gently pushed the door open and walked in. After the door closed, the room was pitch black. He didn't want to turn on the lights, afraid that he would wake Xiaodong up. He turned on his phone. Under the dim light, he walked to her bedside. Her whole body was curled up in the soft quilt. She was lying on her side and her face was facing him. The person that he missed so much appeared in front of him at this moment. He almost stopped breathing. His legs felt heavy as if they were filled with lead. He moved his legs with difficulty to get closer to her. He turned the light on the phone to the floor. With the dim light, he carefully looked at her face. Delicate eyebrows, a high nose bridge, rosy lips, and a peaceful sleeping face. Seeing that she was safe, his high tension finally relaxed a little. He reached out and gently stroked her cheek. Finally, he leaned over and kissed her gently on the lips. His arms gently hugged her in his embrace. In the minute that Xiaodong woke up, her mind was not very clear. She vaguely felt that something was wrong. She rubbed her sleepy eyes and took a closer look. Her whole body froze. A handsome face suddenly appeared in front of her eyes. It was the person that she had been thinking about day and night. She was actually using his arm as a pillow and lying in his chest. She thought that she was dreaming. She pinched her arm hard. Ouch. It hurt. She wasn't dreaming. He was really sleeping beside her. Xiaodong's trembling fingers landed on Bailey Han's face. She gently stroked his cheek. He was really as Xiaobao had said. He had lost a lot of weight. There was stubble on his chin and there were dark circles under his eyes. He must have not slept well in a long time. She rested her head on his chest and hugged his waist tightly. As soon as she moved, he suddenly opened his eyes and stared at her face. Xiaodong was stunned by his sharp gaze. He suddenly said in a low voice, Wifey, I'm not dreaming, right? Are you really by my side? Xiaodong's heart ached. She smiled. Hubby, you're not dreaming. I'm really by your side. That's great. He hugged her tightly and rubbed his chin on her hair. He said in a low voice, Wifey, don't leave me again. She hugged him tightly and did not say a word. Bailey Han said in a low voice, Wifey, tell me that you won't leave me again. Xiaodong said softly, Okay, I won't leave you again. He said fiercely, If you leave me again, I won't let you go even if I have to chase you to the ends of the earth. She chuckled. He ruffled her hair in annoyance. During breakfast, they were served by the same maid from last night. She looked at Bailey Han strangely. To be exact, she looked at him with hatred. Xiaodong poked Bailey Han's arm and said in Chinese, Marlene looked at you strangely as if you owed her money. When did you offend her? Bailey Han focused on what he was doing. He cut the sausages on the plate into very small pieces and said casually, She didn't allow me to enter the master bedroom last night, so I knocked her out. Xiaodong's mouth twitched. Then she said to Marlene in Italian, Marlene, I apologize for my husband's behavior last night. Marlene smiled embarrassedly. Miss, you're too polite. Bailey Han pushed the cut sausages in front of Xiaodong. He looked up and stared at Marlene with sharp eyes.
he said in Italian. Mrs. Marlene, please call her Mrs. Marlene.
Marlene was obviously shocked. She had been communicating with Bailey Han in English last night. She didn't expect him to know Italian. Xiaodong didn't expect it either, but she quickly reacted and smiled. Marlene, listen to Mr. Bailey's instructions. Call me Mrs. Marlene in the future.
Yes. Marlene bowed respectfully to them.
Hubby, other than Italian, what other languages do you know? Xiaodong asked with a smile as she speared a piece of sausage into her mouth. Bailey Han said lightly, I think I know French, Japanese, and German. Xiaodong raised her eyebrows. What do you mean by I think I know? He said calmly, I haven't used French and German in a long time, so I'm not particularly proficient. Hubby, you're the best. Xiaodong exclaimed. No wonder the children were geniuses. It was because their fathers had excellent genes. Bailey Han's lips curved. He leaned his head in front of her and pointed at his cheek. Reward me. Xiaodong pushed him away in annoyance. Mind your image. They were not the only two people living in this house, whether in the open or in the dark. Bailey Han stroked her hair good-naturedly. They know what to look at and what not to look at. She snorted. I'm not as thick-skinned as you. After breakfast, Bailey Han helped her take a walk in the garden. Italy had a Mediterranean climate. The winter was mild and humid, which was very suitable for nourishing the fetus. Xiaodong was tired from walking. Bailey Han helped her to sit under a shady tree. He took a thin blanket and covered her stomach with it. With one arm around her waist, he leaned her head on his shoulder and said softly, Wifey, there's something I have to tell you. Xiaodong chuckled. Is it about Su Yunqian?
He looked down at her.
Did the two rascals tell you? She said softly, Bailey Han held her hand tightly. His eyes were full of guilt. Wifey, I was too stupid. I was deceived by her and hurt you because of it. I'm sorry.
Xiaodong covered his mouth.
Don't talk about it. Let bygones be bygones. He hugged her tightly and said softly, Come home with me. She shook her head. I can't go back.
His hand tightened.
Are you still angry with me?
No, Xiao Guai has already been admitted to the hospital arranged by Godfather.
The facilities are perfect and the medical technology is good. I want her to stay in Rome for treatment. Bailey Han was silent for a few seconds and said in a deep voice, I'll stay with you. Xiaodong quickly said, It's okay. The company and family need you. Stay with us for 2 more days and then go back. Bailey Han was determined. I've already decided. I'm going to stay with you and Gigai. As for the company and family, you don't have to worry. I have my own arrangements. Xiaodong straightened up and looked into his eyes. She said seriously, Hubby, listen to me. Grandma is old and Xiao Yi and Xiao Bao need someone to take care of them. You should go back first. Xiao Guai and I have Godfather to take care of us. You can come and visit us anytime you want. Add, Song Shu 566. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.